I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. Benito, Chief Keef.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, thought they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late. Seen them down bad, now they tryna hate. Same ones try to hit me for the raise. Got a meal, now they coming with a blaze. Check the numbers fam, I swear I'm getting paid. I'm a Don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. Come down and I'll meet him at a gate. Gotta chill check and I bought myself a place. They get some money and they blow it on bait. I don't flex, but I'm pushing all the weight. Told them all I swear I got it's what it takes. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it now, I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, we got the pullback. If you guys tuned into last night's live stream, you will know that we were looking at that 8-hour red dot / bearish divergence in confluence with our 30-minute money flow coming into the red, and we were looking at that 30-minute money flow crossover to continue that drop to the downside, and we did indeed get that, guys. We are pushing into our support level. If you saw the market update, you will know we pushed into that support. I am in a small scalp long. However, are we going to be able to see a little bit more of a cool off here, guys? Obviously, I have been more bullish over the past few months. I mean, I've been bullish pretty much throughout the entire bull market as far as the long-term trajectory for Bitcoin. But as we have gotten the breakout into new all-time highs, guys, is this the final breakout? And are we coming down for that one retest on support before starting the big parabolic move to finish off this bull market and hopefully get those altcoins moving? I do think we are right on track, guys. But if we do have to see a little bit more of a correction, I do want to talk about some of those key levels, what I'm going to be expecting here in the medium term. And yes, this pullback has not scared me, guys. We do still have some room down to come to some lower prices. And there are some pretty big key levels underneath us. I am not going to be worried until those key levels get broken. I will be talking about some of them today, and then we'll also go over the local price action as well. So shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Shout out to Wonton Wisdom. Little Wonton Wisdom from our boy here says bears will die today. Shout out to Wonton Wisdom. But yeah, we'll take a look at that. And again, even if we do get that pullback, guys, my long-term bias here is still to the upside. Over the next couple of months, hopefully we can get those rate cuts to come in. We'll break it all down in tonight's live stream. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to Emilio in the chat. What is going on, bro? We got J Stacks in the chat. Said Pepe in a short. Shout out to J Stacks. I don't know if you're asking me if I'm in a short on Pepe or if you're asking if you are in a good short on Pepe. Maybe we'll take a look at Pepe today. We will take a look at the altcoins after Bitcoin today, guys. We got Pepe in the chat. Let's go. He said, LOL, I want to buy more Pepe. We got Pepe the Frog in the chat, guys. Shout out to you, man. We got Steve in the chat. Let's see. We got Pose. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. We got Nick Dunn, Satoshi Stacker in the chat. Pennywise, everybody's favorite clown. Friendly clown, we think. Drop some balloons in the chat for Pennywise. What is going on? And let's see. Last but not least, we got Donato Cabrera in the chat. What is going on? Darius said, yo, missed yesterday's stream, but caught the long entry just on the 30-minute bull dip. Thanks, Frankie. Shout out to Darius. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Happy to hear that, Darius. I assume that trade is in profit. But guys, we got a lot to look at here on the chart. So without further ado, don't forget to smash that like button. Every 100 likes we get gives you guys some extra chances to win some free crypto on Friday's live stream. If we get 1,000 likes on tonight's live stream, I will give away $200 in Solana. Shout out to Infinite Team. What is going on, bro? Thank you so much for the super chat. Infinite Team TA says 500 likes on the video or BTC goes to 0. Let's go. Shout out to Infinite. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for the super chat. And smash up that like button, guys. We don't care if you touch it with your butt, elbow it, headbutt it, fondle it creepily. We don't judge you. Just smash that like button. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. So here we are, guys. Obviously, Bitcoin getting about a 6% pullback to the downside here. Obviously, this is not too much of a shocker if you tuned into yesterday's live stream, as we did have the 8-hour red dot and bearish divergence forming. And just to kind of, before I get ahead of myself here, as you guys know, on Friday, we were looking at those Fibonacci extension targets for Bitcoin potentially to push up into, and this was sitting between about 115,329 and 126,29. Obviously, we did push up to about 123K. But we did come into these targets. We got back down below them, and we are starting to pull back here. Now, this is not much of a shocker, obviously, as we push into this resistance level. We did get some bearish divergences here, not only on the 8-hour, but many other medium hourly time frames, and just this red dot on the 8-hour alone. Guys, if you take anything away from this stream and you use Market Cypher, please pay attention to the Market Cypher B116 strategy that we cover literally almost every single day on this channel, whether it's a lower time frame or a higher time frame. Obviously, the higher time frames are going to hold more weight. But when we have that 8-hour red dot, we go straight down to that 30-minute time frame, and we say, well, hey, if that 30-minute money flow crosses over into the red, very often, I even said yesterday on the live stream, tomorrow, if this does wind up playing out, we're going to be sitting here talking about that Market Cypher B116 strategy and how beautiful it can be. But you see that money flow crossover. When you see this happen at the same time, specifically as an 8-hour red dot, that is oftentimes the money flow crossover, will indicate that you are going to continue that move to the downside, and we did see that drop to the downside last night, and now we are starting to bing bong around here at some support levels. I will break that down in just a minute. I am in a scalp long position here with the premium Discord. It is in profit. I showed it on the market update. I'll pull it up again in a second. I'm going to be honest, guys. I don't know if this is going to be the bottom. I already have taken profits on this position. But, I don't want anyone to think like, oh, my God, he's long. We're going to $1 million, right? This is viewed as a scalp long position as of this moment, and I'm going to show you exactly why. But we see that beautiful 30-minute money flow crossover. It did indeed call the continuation to the downside. No shocker there. But we also covered yesterday, if this 30-minute money flow gives us the drop to the downside, we can also take one step up higher on the time frames and take a look at the daily, right? We had that daily red dot looking to print yesterday. I'm actually going to take the TA off the chart real quick. We did have that daily VWAP coming to the 0 line, very likely to print that red dot soon. And then we did get that red dot. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look down towards that 90-minute money flow. If TradingView will work, there we go. And you guys can see here, the 90-minute money flow is also coming to the downside. So the exact same setup that we had yesterday on the 8-hour and the 30-minute, right? On the 30-minute here at about 5:30 during the live stream, we got that crossover into the red, got the continuation down. And now we can look at that daily red dot with the 90-minute money flow crossover. And if we get that money flow to cross over into the red, guys, it could do something very similar. Maybe we get a little bit of a retracement, but it could potentially give us an opportunity to put in another lower high to come down to some lower levels of support. And yes, I will cover the local levels as well as the major level. I'm going to go over the higher time frames with you guys so you can get an overall view of what I'm expecting here, not just over the next couple of days, but also over the next couple of months. But with this 90-minute money flow crossover, just remember what we looked at there for the 30-minute. It's the same exact setup. However, this is just on the daily and the 90-minute. And, typically when you see that 30-minute money flow crossover shortly after, right, well, you have the 30-minute money flow crossover here. Shortly after, the 45-minute will cross over. And then, here the 80-minute, the 80 and 90-minute are kind of the two time frames I look at with the daily. The 80-minute will likely cross over first, and then that 90-minute will come down just shortly after it. So we don't have to get this money flow crossover, but if we do get it, guys, it is going to indicate a continuation to the downside. Now, is this going to make me super bearish on Bitcoin? Not necessarily, right? I'm going to show you that big line in the sand. But even if we do get the bigger pullback, guys, we have gotten this beautiful breakout of the range. And this is bullish, right? Like as I've been talking about, time and time again, right? As we put this higher low in at $75,000, the anticipation here is to put that higher low in and then break structure to the upside to continue our massive uptrend in this bull market. And we could be coming up to those final stages of the bull market, the most exciting point in the bull market where we see the altcoins explode. The altcoins explode. We see Bitcoin blow off into that parabolic top. And, this could be the time that is coming up, guys. We have the rate cuts potentially coming down the line. I talk about this every day, so I'm not going to beat the dead horse there. But this is right on time with what we've been expecting. So as we get this breakout to higher prices, guys, as we talked about yesterday, it is not impossible to get a pullback here. Could this be the bottom? Maybe. Again, I would say the daily red dot with the 90-minute money flow is a little bit worrisome. I wouldn't say worrisome, but, could be indicating more downside. But overall, guys, even if we did get a pullback here, I'll just cover some of the macro levels with you. The biggest level on the chart right now, in my opinion, even if we pull off the volume profiles here and we just look at the raw price action, if I were a slave to just looking at price action, I couldn't use any of my key levels or anything like that, I would say the same thing that we said back here. It's like, well, hey, we do have a clear uptrend here. You have the lows, the highs, the higher lows, clear uptrend here, bringing us through this bull market. And, when we got this pullback to 75K, regardless of all the intricate TA that we were looking at, indicating this would be a higher low before seeing a new all-time high, which obviously did play out. Just looking at this, right, like, why was I not worried back here? It was like, we weren't breaking any significant structure. We were just coming down to retest support. And then, what oftentimes happens is you'll get that big blow off, and then you'll get that cool off, retest the structure, and then get the bigger push to the upside. I am going to be looking for something very similar here, just on a little bit of a more local term. If we look here, right, if we do get that pullback, this high right here at about $112,000 is going to be the biggest level, right? Even if we got to pull back all the way back down here to retest that structure, it could just be that last little final shakeout. It's like, oh my God, all-time highs. Everyone's going to be like, that's it, 123K was the top. And listen, could they be right at the end of the day? Maybe, but for me personally, until we wind up really breaking down here, again, even if we came into this range a little bit, this would not necessarily make me think the bear market is here, but as of right now, we have a lot of support that we could look at below us locally, as well as the fact that we have this, clean breakout, guys. This was on a lot of volume. There was follow through. This is a clear bullish break to the upside. So at this point, not only just looking at the price action, but also keeping an eye on money flow here. You guys can see daily red dot printing, 2-day VWAP coming down. This could also indicate a little bit more of a pullback, but as we all know, the money flow does indicate that overall trend. So any pullback is going to have to be looked at as lackluster to put in a higher low and then put in a new higher high, pushing us into some of our upper targets that I'm not going to go over today. We covered them yesterday and the day before. We'll bring them back up when they come. Maybe I'll bring them up a little later in the stream, but at the end of the day, money flow is in the green here, guys. That red dot would indicate, right, that we could get an ever flow to the downside. But again, money flow would indicate that the higher low and the higher high would be the more likely situation, at least at this moment right now. Things can change if we get down there and money flow starts tanking. But as of right now, right, there would be nothing really, in my opinion, to worry about, even if we did get that move down towards about 112, and more specifically to $110,000, because if we pull up our volume profile here, we all know, right, and you could even, actually, I'll pull this volume profile over this entire range of price action that we've been sitting in for 62 days before the breakout. You guys can see here, we pull that volume profile, right, the value area high of this range sits at about $110,000. And it's really not until we wind up breaking back in and getting accepted into this range that I will be looking for lower prices on Bitcoin. So massive, massive support. If I were to draw this as a zone, I would simply just grab a box, pull it to the high of this candle, and then bring it all the way down to the value area high. And then I will go ahead and mark that blue for support, right? So anything like this, isn't going to be the worst thing in the world, in my opinion. And it would be a place where I would be definitely looking for a bounce. It does not guarantee that if we come down there, we are 100% going to bounce. Obviously, we will be looking for confirmations. If it does look super bearish down there, we will look for the lower prices. But this is 100% going to be a very key level. Structural highs, anchored VWAP. value area high, right? Major key level to hold. So there you go, right? Majorly, pull back, no big deal. As long as we don't lose that level, then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But we do also have some local support here that we're looking at as well. And if you guys tuned in yesterday, you will know we brought up this zone right here sitting. Let me pull up the daily MPOCs, the weekly MPOCs, that daily horizontal that we had. And you guys can see here, as we were coming down into like the $116,000 to $115,000 level, we had some key levels of support down here, right? We had a daily MPOC up here. This has been cracked through, barely any support there. So I'm just going to take this off the chart as it is invalidated. But you do have the daily MPOC. And then just underneath us, we do have a MPOC sitting at about $115,000. And we do actually have some nice confluence down here if we do want to come down and take these lows one more time. So it'll be a big level that I'm watching. And again, I'll show you the confluence there in just a second. But as you guys know, we can look to come down to this support. We did have a long setup in the premium Discord to take a long position from here. Now, at the end of the day, right, like we are looking at this as a scalp position, right? I will pull this little local volume profile here. We did come down to a local value area low. We swept these lows right here, and then we did wind up getting the bullish divergences, lower lows on our price action, higher lows on our momentum waves, giving us that bullish divergence. So we did look to take that position, and we are attempting to get the rise through this volume profile. We have the POC sitting here at about 117,827. This is pretty big resistance, to be quite honest. But however, if we are able to reclaim the daily, get above the POC, I will be looking for a push up into that value area high. Another key level to look at anytime we get a big move here. We're going to pull that anchored VWAP from the tippy top. And that anchored VWAP right now is sitting at about 118,568. So there is resistance above. And I am going to be very, very careful with this based off the money flow, guys. There is a possibility of lower highs and lower lows coming. But that scalp long position has already paid out. I've already taken some profit on it. So we'll see how that winds up, finishing off here. But these are going to be like the local levels I'm looking at. If we do get a push up, this value area high is going to be key resistance because, again, with the money flow on the 90-minute, if we are going to get that bigger pullback, and it's not just the 90-minute and the daily red dot, guys, it's also the 2-day VWAP starting to roll over here as well. As you can see, I'll kind of zoom in on this so you guys can see it a little bit better. There you go, right? VWAP starting to head down towards that zero line. Again, money flow is very healthy, but red and green dots, I say this all the time, but for anybody who's new here, if you're looking at Market Cypher B, the red and green dots indicate the ebbs and flows in the market, right? The money flow is what indicates the overall trend. So as of right now, if we do get the bigger continuation down, maybe we get the 2-day red dot, I would still be looking at it as an ebb or flow to the downside before continuing up. But with that in store here, right, for the local positions, we do have to understand that, a lower high and a lower low is possible. Now, where would I be looking for that lower high and lower low? There are a few different levels, but I will show you the same level that I talked about on the market update. When we look at this value area high, obviously, this is where we're looking for longs, and then above the value area high or at the value area high is where we're looking for shorts. And when we look at this, right, if we pull our full Fibonacci retracement from the high to the low here, turn this into golden pocket only, not a ton of confluence here from that full fib pull. Now, at the end of the day, right, this could be a level that we come up and visit, and this would be the last zone of resistance to put in that lower high before a lower low, because once you flip that 786, in my opinion, right, it's going to be much more likely at that point that the lower high is invalidated, right, because if that lower high is going to come in, it's going to come in between the golden pocket and the 786. Once you flip that 786, that's where I would be looking for a break of the high, targeting some of our higher Fibonacci extension levels, right? But because there's no confluence up here, I am also going to look at some of these other Fibonacci retracements. I'm going to pull it from this little lower high that we made, and then pull it all the way to the current low. You can see we do have a little bit of confluence there. So you do have the value area high, you have the 786. Anchored VWAP is a little bit lower than that, but you do have 3 levels of confluence up in here, and this could be, right? We don't know if we're going to project the first golden pocket, right? I mean, for all we know, right, you could reject this super hyper local one, right? We're testing resistance right now as far as those Fibonacci retracements go. So maybe we reject here. However, this would be the next significant level that has confluence. And then once we come up there, right, I'm going to be very, very careful because we are looking for potential lower highs and lower lows, which again could happen here, right? I don't know exactly what Fibonacci retracement that's going to happen at. If we do come up there, this is going to be, just because of the confluence, a very big level to get above. And then once we squeeze up in here, that's where you could kind of just like start to trail your Fibonacci retracement to the next higher lows or the next higher low and then the absolute high. But again, the line in the sand for new all-time highs for me as of right now is going to be 121,660, right? Because that is the full Fibonacci retracement, and that is the last opportunity to put that lower high in at. Once you break that, I am going to be looking for new all-time highs. But right now, just because we have local confluence here, I'm going to look at it pulled from the this lower high to the low. This zone does sit between about $118,710 and $119,601. So if we are able to travel the rest of the way through this profile, that is going to be the biggest key level of resistance, at least locally. And then once we crack above there, I'll just be looking at those higher fib levels. But yeah, these are going to be, this is pretty much just the local range that we're inside of right now. So I'll just mark this out as a little bit of a local range. And then, if we do break down below here, like I said, we do have some confluent areas of support down below. I would say, in the worst case scenario, maybe you do make it down to the 112 to 110 level. But we'll just have to see how the price action develops. We'll assess that situation if it does actually come true. But if we do break down here, there are some other local levels that we can look at. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull my Fibonacci retracement from the impulse here that broke into our new all-time highs into the actual new all-time high. And you can see here, at about $115,352, down to the 786 at about $113,190. This is going to be a level to watch. If I pull up some other levels here, we do have a daily MPOC, which is confluent here. So this would be kind of the next local level of support if we are not going to go down for that huge retracement down to 110 to 112. Whoops, that's the wrong color. This would be, the next technical local level of support. So if we do break this low, this is what I'm going to be looking at. Is this going to give us the gigantic bounce? Again, with the way money flow looks, if we do get that soon, again, like let's say we put the lower high in and then we start breaking the low. If we're getting a fresh 90-minute money flow crossover into the red, into that golden pocket, obviously the money flow would call for the new low to come in. You do have support here, so you could get a bounce. But generally, when you have that money flow crossover, if it's crossing over into the red as we approach this support, I am still just naturally going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows, in which case you can target that 786 sitting here at about $113,194. And then, this is kind of that last line to hold before you start entering that 112K level, right? Because once you lose this, right, this is sitting at about 113,189. Once you lose this, you're pretty much coming down to retest that structure. And that's what brings us to that first major key level of support that I brought up in the beginning of the stream that we absolutely do not want to lose, right? Again, I wouldn't be calling for a bear market if we lost that level, but it's definitely the biggest level on the chart right now. And if we are going to see this be a strong breakout with a bullish retest and then a new send off into new all-time highs, that's the first big level that you would want to hold. We do have some other honorable mention levels within the range that we can look at. But again, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I don't want to cover too much stuff on each stream just because, I don't want to cover stuff if it might not ever, we might not even have to deal with that, right? We might bounce from here and then, or we might bounce from where we are right now and we don't have to deal with that. So I don't want to clutter everybody's charts up with all these levels. So right now, I would just be looking at the major resistance sitting here, 118,710 to 119,601, and then, local support here at the Golden Pocket MPOC. No confluence here on the 786. The only thing, I wouldn't say there's really any confluence on the 786. So the Golden Pocket would be stronger in my opinion, but as we know, right, if you lose that Golden Pocket, that 786 is going to be the next level of support. But again, we'll have to see what the money flow looks like at that point. But that's what I'm going to be looking at, right? If we start breaking down below that value area low at 136, right? That's where we're looking down to the Golden Pocket. But for now, I am just holding my scalp long from here, also holding my my long from lower as well. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Bada boom. So there we go, right? This is the same trade that I showed on the market update. Up about 936, got some profit locked in here. So we'll see how that plays out. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much the only trade that I took today. And other than that, I am just holding my bigger long position over on Blowfin. Still up about $6,500, right? Stop loss in profit. And yeah, so I'm just holding the long positions, looking to try to find a short entry, guys. At the end of the day, I talked about this yesterday when we had the 30-minute money flow crossover into the red. I always tell people, right, like sometimes I'll get questions of like, well, hey, if you think that it's going to continue down, why not just enter a short position? And at the end of the day, guys, just because you have a thought or high probability direction on price doesn't necessarily make it a great position to take, right? Or a great trade to take, because you have to factor in risk to reward. Where's your stop loss going to go? All that good stuff. And this is the perfect example, right? Like I did not take the short position, even though we literally looked for this move yesterday on the live stream. But what do? I just wait to come down to support, and then I look for the long position. So for me personally, right? And it's not that you can't trade based off the money flow crossovers. To be honest, I used to trade just based off those market cipher B116 strategies. If I see that 8-hour red dot, 30-minute money flow crosses over into the red, at the end of the day, you could take a short position there. At that point, you'd probably, for me personally, right, like the last significant high is kind of up here, right? So like the risk to reward's not that great, right? Because your stop loss is absolutely gigantic. But if you wanted to take a stab at something like that when you're trading the market cipher B116 strategies, right, you could put your stop loss above the recent highs. In this case, that would have played out very nicely. I personally did not take that position, but, right now, the reason I bring this up is because, if we get that 90-minute money flow crossover, I will be looking for short positions, but, I would really prefer to get some kind of retracement to get in on a lower high before seeing the bigger continuation down. And again, I will mention we do have the local resistance here. Hyper locally, you do have the fib from the high to the low. Is this an area where you could put in the lower high? Sure, right? Now, why am I not looking to take a short position right now? Simply put here, guys, there's just not enough confirmation, right? Can we reject there? Yes. We've already gotten a little pullback off the golden pocket. But, with this being a potential higher lower high zone, you have the 4-hour green dot looking to print. You have a fresh three-hour green dot looking to confirm here in about an hour and 50 minutes. So it's like I don't really like longing against those medium time frame green dots. Could they invalidate and slam me to the downside? Absolutely. But, for me personally, I would just like a little bit more confirmation. So these are the key levels that I'm looking at. And again, 90-minute money flow, if it does continue us down, I'm not really too worried. We have a lot of room to come down here before we really start testing some extremely, extremely key levels. So keep that in mind. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to be looking at. Daily red dot is printing. 2-day red dot is also looking to print potentially. 3-day VWAP is rolling over as well. But again, money flow is always going to indicate that longer-term trend. And like I said, this does look like a strong breakout to me, right? So just really would make sense to me. And yes, we could go lower and still get a breakout. And again, we'll cover those lower levels when they come relevant. But yeah, I still remain longer-term bullish here, guys. Just looking for that, continuation down. You get that big breakout, but nothing goes up in a straight line forever. So you have to be aware of those bearish confirmations and those pushes to the downside. And hopefully, I helped some of you guys identify that last night on the live stream, even though I didn't take the short position. Maybe some of you guys did your own TA, took your own position, and made some money on that. But let me check in on chat real quick. We are going to take a look at the altcoins, guys. We'll take a look at Total 3. I have some interesting stuff to talk about there. Let's see. Shout out to Dar, says, big flush incoming before higher, boys. Shout out to Dar. Yeah, I mean, listen, there is not a, it kind of would make sense, right? It's like get everybody excited, wreck the longs, and then finally send it into that final phase of the bull market. Let's see. Shout out to Perry. Said, where can I learn the Market Cipher B116 strategy? Shout out to Perry. You can hit the beginner series. I have a free tutorial on the channel in the beginner series showing you exactly how I personally trade the Market Cipher B116 strategy. Right now, currently in my journey, right, I really use the Market Cipher B116 just to try to identify direction, and I use it as confluence on when I should be holding short positions or holding long positions. So I use it more of as a confluence right now, but I would be literally lying to everybody if I told you that I never used it. When I traded this alone, there's a lot of things that you have to understand in trading, right? Like, and I would say context is one of them, but the money flow and the 116 strategy kind of helps you understand the context. But, for me personally, right, you see very, very simple terms, right? We'll just look at it yesterday, right? Yesterday, I'll just come back into bar replay mode. Right, we were coming down here, retesting our support, right? We'll be pushed into this on Sunday, right? And then, we're hitting that major resistance level. I'll just put a level there. I'm not going to draw out everything. But, we have the resistance up there, right? And then we also have the 8-hour bearish divergence looking to print. Let me just push this ahead a little bit, right? Well, before the bigger drop. But we started to see that 8-hour red dot. If we come on down to that 30-minute, come on. Right, that 8-hour red dot was printing. That 30-minute money flow was starting to come over into the red. And really, the way I would trade this, if I still traded just based off this sole strategy, would just be, I would have to, if I were just going to take the position here, say, hey, money flow crossover into the red, I'm just going to go ahead and start a short position. I would have to put my stop loss above that previous high because I would never have a stop loss this big. Because again, if you break this high, you're probably going to come up to retest these lows. So it's like, why not just get out of the trade once you break that recent high? And then, for this in general, right, where would I be targeting? I would be targeting that key level of support we looked at yesterday, which obviously was the daily MPOC, weekly MPOC that we had down here. And then you could just look to hold that, watch that 30-minute money flow crossover into the red, and then oftentimes you will get that drop to the downside, right? But again, I would say, a little bit dangerous to just trade that alone, right? Like, there are times where I may enter on that still, but I have a full understanding of the context of the market. I'm also keeping an eye on things like order flow. So I do incorporate other things into that. But if I had to trade that alone, that is kind of how I would do it, right? I see that 30-minute money flow crossover, and then, that is usually what starts that bigger drop to the downside. And there's different 1/16 timeframes that you can look at. 8-hour 30-minute is one of them. Daily 90-minute is another one. 4-hour 15-minute is another one. But just go check out that video. Shout out to Tony D. If you could drop that link to the Market Cypher B116 strategy tutorial in the chat, I would greatly appreciate that. You guys could check that out. It's obviously 100% free, and I show you exactly how to trade that strategy. But I will just be upfront here. I do use it as more of a confluence at this point, right? Sometimes I just use it to call direction, and I don't even take a position, right? But there we go. Let's see. Tony Roaz said, Frankie, is the 116 strat the stamp of approval to take a trade? Shout out to Tony Roaz. I would go a little more backwards, right? Like, I would probably put, I mean, you could, right? There's nothing wrong with using that as a reason to enter a trade. But just from, if you're asking the way I do it personally, you know, what I would more trade based off of is something like a swing failure pattern or some kind of a actual entry confirmation within the candlesticks or the price action. And then I would just use that money flow. I would say like, well, hey, like maybe I enter a short position up here or here, and then I see that 30-minute money flow crossover into the red. I'm already in my short position, and I'm like, well, hey, I have the 30-minute money flow coming out. I have the 8-hour red dot. My short position's probably going to run, right? So I do use it as more of a confluence. But again, if I were to trade it alone, that is probably, not probably, but that is pretty much how I would do it, right? The problem comes is like, sometimes, you know, at this point, it's like the really good short positions are to be had up here, right? So it's like hard for me to take an aggressive short position after you've already gotten a move to the downside. That's why I prefer to look for the retracements up. But again, it can play out as you see from yesterday's live stream. So there you go. Let's see. Thanks for the breakdown, sir. Shout out to Tony Roaz. No problemo, my paisan. Let's see. Eugene Sky said, the like police are not around, but what the heck? Smash that. Smash that like button. Shout out to Eugene Sky. I appreciate you. Let's see. Are we really going to make generational wealth? Shout out to Abazi. I know with the altcoins, it seems like a farce at this point. But yes, I mean, I personally do believe, again, I could be wrong, guys, but I do believe, right? Like, I'm not going to cover everything that we looked at because I cover this every day. I hate to be super repetitive, but you know there were so many things as far as the stock market, Coinbase stock, all these things going to new all-time highs that was leading us to believe that Bitcoin was probably just lagging behind in this little bull flag before that bigger breakout to come. And again, this was not just where we were expecting the all-time high. I was expecting new all-time highs all the way down here at $75,000 because we understand, the higher time frame context of things, right? Massive bull run. We didn't break the high here. And it was a perfect place to put in a higher low before putting in a new all-time high. Now, the question is, whether we get the pullback all the way to the $112,000 to $110,000 level, whether we bounce from where we're at right now, and like I said, 90-minute money flow, I would anticipate, I would not be shocked if we get a little more of a dump. But here's the thing, right? If we look at this chart, and we get the pullback, right? Again, regardless of where we get it to, and we put in new all-time highs, how high can we look, right? Like, how high are we going for this bull market? For me personally, right? Pulling up that Fibonacci extension target, sitting right here, right? We came into our first major bull market target, got the bull market correction, and now we are starting to lift off into our new targets. I would say the next big, the big level to look at right now would be right up here, between 137.5 and 156.142. This is the next macro bull market target. Is it possible to top out before that? Obviously. Is it possible to go higher than this? Obviously. But at the end of the day, guys, if we get that pullback, right, and then we do get the bigger move up here, it really depends on what price action looks like, right? Very likely this is where you're going to see Bitcoin in the news. Oh, my God. Bitcoin's pumping. Everybody buy in, right? It's going to be super euphoric. And this is typically the last stage of the bull market, right? Which is why you want to be on defense. You want to go from offense to defense at this point in the bull market. We've been talking about this time and time again on the live streams. If we see the new all-time high, try to keep the Mafia prepared, right? This is where you see the crazy targets. $500K, $1 million. This time is different. But all the institutions, up only, right? This is where you want to play defense because that is, if you listen to this and you fall victim to all these crazy bullish narratives, you are very likely going to get stuck holding your bag and round tripping it back to the bottom. And I know at least somebody in here had that experience back here when everyone was looking at 100K and held their bag back down to the low. I am not going to be the person to do that, and I am going to have to take some arrows here because when we're flying up and the bull market is just straight euphoria, altcoins are absolutely flying. It is not going to be the popular thing to say that the top might be coming in, right? And here's the thing, right? If Bitcoin tops, right, you could still have a lot of room to run on the altcoins. Remember, I think a lot of people are going to think that once this really starts to get cooking, that the bull market is just starting. I'll be the first person to tell you this bull market is not just starting. This bull market has been in play for quite some time, and we were very likely approaching at least near the end over the next few months. The beautiful thing is, obviously, pretty expensive to buy Bitcoin up here, right? I would never tell anybody to buy Bitcoin at this expensive price. You could buy it if you want. Obviously, not financial advice. But as we look at the altcoins, we did this yesterday. We pulled up the non-log chart. You know, a lot of these altcoins have not even came anywhere near their previous all-time highs. Bitcoin is in price discovery, right? A lot of opportunity in the altcoins, and if we get the rate cuts, whether it's in July or September, you know, we're very likely to see a lot of liquidity flow into the altcoin market. And, you know, when we take a look at stuff like Bitcoin dominance, right, we look at this almost every single day now. Look at that. We got the drop, right, below the point of control. This is what we want to see, guys. We came up to that 786 at about 66.21%. We did not physically tap the level, but as we got this pullback, right, this is the best opportunity, a better opportunity than any, to start that big pullback on Bitcoin dominance. We also have the daily money flow coming to the downside here, right? And look at that. We finally got that little tick down as well. So, you know, if we see this money flow cross over into the red, that'd be a very good sign to see the dominance continue to drop to the downside. And warning, we are finally losing the point of control, right? We got a little bounce off of it, and now we are breaking below it. This is the key level you want to remain below. If we pump back up, you kind of, you know, and points of controls can act as magnets for price, right? You can see last time we approached it, rejection, back above, back below, back above, back below, back above, back below, and then we finally held it and continued up. Same thing here. You could play around with this level, but it is nice to see a break below that point of control. And when we take a look at total 3, which is going to be very nice if we can see, obviously we want to see Bitcoin dominance, lose the POC, go to the value area low, and then once we lose this value area low, I think this is likely where you're going to see the massive drop in dominance, right? We saw the same thing happen back here. You have the daily money flow. Well, let me pull up the actual daily, right? You have the daily money flow, crosses over into the red here. You can see that right here. Daily money flow crosses into the red. We wind up losing the range, and then you get that massive meltdown on dominance. That is what we want to see here. We want Bitcoin to break out of this volume profile. We're still pretty far away from it happening, but that is the level to watch. Value area low at about 61%, 60.95%. Once we get the drop below there, we hopefully can get that massive drop on dominance, which will finally bring in the excitement for the altcoins. And if we take a look at total 3, if you guys watch this show for a while, you will know anytime we look at total 3, we said the opposite, right? We want to see Bitcoin dominance, total 3 reclaiming its value area low to get a full fill of the range, right? And then eventually, hopefully, we can get the pop to the upside, right? It's all lining up. It is all lining up, right? And I also like the place where we bounced here because when we lost this value area low back in February, right, that was, you know, we have money flow coming into the red on the daily. That would indicate that the downtrend will continue. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. And then we got one more retracement into the value area low one more time. But what did we do when we got the correction? We did put in a higher low directly on the place where you would want a higher low to come in at, and that is your golden pocket Fibonacci retracement. This would indicate low, high. If you're looking for a higher high to come in here, which we've already technically put in, you would be looking for the bounce at the golden pocket. So it does look pretty good as we reclaim this value area low. And again, just like Bitcoin can play around with that POC, or Bitcoin dominance can play around with the POC, total 3 can play around with the value area low. All right, so you know you might get some turbulence up here, but for the most part, as long as we can hold support in here, which I would say you have a decent chance of doing. Daily money flow crossing back into the green. Take a look at the two-day money flow crossing back over into the green. What happened last time we had a 2-day money flow crossover on total 3? Come on. We had a massive rip to the upside. 2-day money flow crossovers back in the green here. So any pullback could be looked at as a higher low and a higher high. Once you hold that value area low, this would be the doorway to higher prices, or total 3. That's where we're going to be looking for the full fill of the range. POC sits at about 1.07 trillion, and then the value area high sits at 1.1 trillion. So very nice to see the attempt of reclaiming this value area low. Very nice to see Bitcoin dominance losing its POC. Again, you could play around, but this is nice to see. And this all lines up with potential rate cuts either coming in July or coming in September to enter the final phase of the bull market. We are right on track, but don't get scared if we get the pullback, right? This would be looked at as a bullish retest before euphoria. And again, we can come a little bit lower, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. 110 to 112K is the current key level of support on the chart. So there we go. All right, let me jump into chat real quick here. Bada boom, bada bing. Yo, shout out to Infinite Team TA. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for the super chat. He says, Jesse, the like police are here, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. Jesse is our resident like police. If he asks you to hit that like button, hit it. And if you hit it more than one time, make sure you hit it an odd amount of times. ETH time. Shout out to JP. Yes, we will take a look at Ethereum real quick. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Brent Adams. Says it's going to over 9,000. Let's go. Let's see. Shout out to Acto4 said, Frankie, I asked yesterday about TARS AI in a super chat, but you left the stream. Can you check the chart for TARS? Yeah, shout out to Act4. Yes, I will take a look at TARS for you today, brother. No problemo. And we will take a look at ETH, Solana, all the good stuff, and then we'll take some more requests from the chat. Let's see. Bada boom. XRP chart opinion. Shout out to Ahmed. Yes, we will take a look at XRP. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob in the chat. What is going on? We got Scott Watson in the chat, and Dave Digital said, I don't think we've ever heard Frankie Candles call for euphoria. Shout out to Dave Digital. Let's go. It's coming, baby. I hope. Or it's going to zero, and we're all going to lose our money. I'm just kidding. Maybe. I don't know. But no, that is, my general thoughts here, guys, are all based off of actual information, right? That, the TA can be wrong from time to time, but again, typically, right, I'll never just call for something because I think it's going to happen, right? I like to base everything I look at on actual information, actual data, actual charts. It's why I was not looking for a massive alt season in February, right? Last time we were looking for alt season was actually, if we look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, last time we were looking at a potential possibility of alt season was when we were coming up to this golden pocket retracement. And actually, we did wind up getting a pretty big drop. We did get altcoins to get big rips to the upside. We saw things like XRP. Things were going crazy for a little bit. And then you kind of got that like mini alt season bear market. But again, right, there was a reason to look for a rejection here. After we were reclaiming this value area low in February, not only were we getting a reclaim of support on the value area low for dominance, which is bearish for altcoins in February, but we also had Total 3 losing its value area low with money flow coming out. Bad for altcoins. Right? So this is why I don't just call for euphoria randomly. And again, at the end of the day, guys, we could lose this value area low and come back down. But when we look at the chart here, based off of everything I just talked about, the money flow, the retracement, all that, it's lining up to potentially get a big move to the upside, right? And that's why I'm saying that, right? It's not just a random guess. But yes, if we come up to this value area high, very likely we're going to see things start to have a pretty good time cooking to the upside. But yeah, let's see. Shout out to Vincent said, Frankie, please tell me we're about to pump. I'm in a 200x long, bro. Shout out to Vincent. Well, I'm in a long too. It's not a 200x long, but I'm in a little bit of a scalp long. But shout out to Vincent. If you scrub back to the beginning of the stream, just make sure you watch that local analysis because there is a possibility of some more downside coming, right? Regardless of my little scalp long position. I am going to be very careful with that as price action develops. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Skinny Lock says, nobody thinks, what if 123K was the top? I'll be the first person to tell you, although I don't fall in that camp as of right now. I'll also be the first person to tell you that it is not impossible. Just like I tell you all the time, I will tell you my personal bias based off of information and actual technical analysis, but I am also not somebody that's just going to sit here and be like, even at 75K, right? Even though I thought this was going to be a higher low for higher highs, right? We are open to the idea that maybe the bear market was starting, right? I would always just say like, hey, we have some key levels down below. If we did break below them, I would be calling for a bear market, but we haven't broke them yet, so I can't call for it. But my personal bias is I'm not in the camp of the bear market being here. Higher highs are coming in. So, could 123K be the top? Potentially, right? It totally could be. It's not impossible, but assuming we get rate cuts and all that stuff coming down the line, I would say the higher probability is that this will not be the bear market. Even if we get a bigger correction, right? I still would not necessarily think it's the bear market, right? Every big rejection we get ever since the top here at $74,000, everyone, and shout out, I forgot who said that, but, I'm not saying you actually think it's the top. I think it's important that you question it, right? I'm not going to sit here and say, I think new all-time highs are coming. You're an idiot if you think the top is at 123K. I'm always thinking like, all right, could this be the top? But when you start to layer those macroeconomic factors, when you start to layer the money flow, all this stuff, I would say the higher probability is to the upside, but higher probability is not 100%. So I actually love the way you're thinking, bro. When everyone's bullish, right, you want to have that little suspicion like, I don't know. Maybe this is the top. But I don't personally fall in that camp. Is it possible? Yes. But again, I just explained exactly what I think. And yeah, I'm going to stick to that until something drastically changes on the chart. And if something does, I will look for lower prices. Very simple. So shout out to you. I love the way you're thinking, bro. Let's see. Shout out to Cryptomania says next is 87K. I mean, hey, let's see where that fib retracement is. We do have a lot of support down at about 87K. You have a macro 786 sitting at about 85K. We do have liquidity sitting down there. But as of right now, nothing about this rejection makes me think we're instantly going to 87K. Again, is it impossible? No. But again, if this is the bullish breakout, even a retest like that, we could still come up into higher highs. So. But even if we broke down below this, I wouldn't instantly be looking at 87K, but there are levels down there, right? We looked at the liquidation heat map. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. It's so far away at this point. Let me actually pull up the 1 month chart because I will show you there is liquidity sitting down there. Now, just because you have liquidity sitting down there doesn't guarantee that you have to actually see that happen. Let this load. All right, there we go. Drag this over. Bada boom. Right, so you do have some liquidity. So, man, I'll have to zoom out a little bit more. But you can see, down here at 85K. Can you guys see that? You have a little bit of a hot spot of liquidity down there. But, again, I wouldn't say that, just because you have the liquidity sitting there, you have to absolutely nuke down there. But, again, not impossible. But, we'll cross that bridge. Once we start breaking these key levels, there's no reason for me to look down there right now. If we start losing some key levels, then we could start to figure out, likelihood of coming down there. But I would not say 87K is on my watch list right now. So, yeah. That's my overall thoughts on Bitcoin, guys, to be quite honest. I don't want to overcomplicate things. I do want to take a look at some of the altcoins. We took a look at Total 3. We took a look at Bitcoin dominance. Now let's jump into Ethereum real quick. Bada boom. Checking on chat. Let's see. Liquidity is guaranteed. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Let's go, baby. Welcome in, bro. XRP got to sleep for 3 months to get more juice. Shout out to 12 Big. Man, you can't argue with that, bro. I can't fight that, man. That is definitely seems to be the case for XRP. But we'll get into the XRP in just a second. I'll give you my full thoughts. But again, Ethereum still just playing inside of this macro target between the golden pocket and the daily MPOC, where we have the daily MPOC golden pocket sitting between 3,000 and 3,150. Again, technically the next local level to the upside for ETH is going to be sitting at about 31.55. Break above that. I mean, hey, there's no telling whether you're just going to Lambo candle up to the value area high. Typically, that's not how it works. Typically, you will get some kind of a correction, but definitely working in some resistance here, right? So if you do get a pullback, key levels I will be watching. I think that is just got to move up slightly. You do have the this entire zone down here. Daily MPOC, golden pocket, 786 value area high. If you get the bigger pullback, right? Something like that, right, would be, healthy, in my opinion, right? I'm not saying you have to do it, right, but you are at resistance, so just be careful. If we break above resistance, right, we have a daily MPOC. We also have the 786 Fibonacci retracement sitting at about 35.30, right? This is the next major target. We've been looking at this 3,000 to 3,150 target ever since we started approaching this value area low on the macro range. I'll even hide this. I'll even hide all these local levels as well. Bada boom. Come on. Bada bing. So, yeah, once we get above this value area low, we say, well, hey, once we stay above that value area low, POC is very likely next. If we could hold on top of that POC, we're going to be looking up towards the next major target, 3,000 to 3,150. Here we are. And in that same kind of fashion, the overall anticipation here, even if you get the pullback, right, is going to be an eventual continuation up towards that value area high at 35.30. Once you break above the golden pocket, you're looking to go to the 786, which sits at 35.30. Once you hold above the POC, the next major target within the profile is the value area high, sitting at 35.30. Honorable mention here, daily MPOC at 33.42. That can give you a little bit of turbulence as well. But again, as far as macro targets go, I'd be watching that value area high. So yeah, just be careful. You are in resistance here. Top of the golden pocket, sitting at 31.50. Hopefully we get smashed through it. If not, be prepared for some kind of a pullback. So there you go. Local levels of support pretty much remain exactly the same, sitting between 27.77, or that was actually moved up slightly, 27.78 and 26.31. Once you lose that 786, maybe we work our way back down towards that value area low, sitting at 24.25. But again, even if you get that bigger pullback, still POC is key support. And eventually, sometimes these ranges can be a little bit sketchy getting up to the final target. And then sometimes it's much more clean. Flip the value area low, flip the POC straight up to the high. But sometimes it can be a little bit choppy. So just be aware of that. But those are the key levels I'm looking at. Daily, daily red dot is confirmed. 2-day red dot is looking to print here on Ethereum as well. So again, be aware of potential pullbacks coming, guys. Nothing goes up in a straight line, at least forever. Sometimes it does go up in a straight line for a little while, but that's what I'm looking at here on Ethereum. Looking at some of the lower time frames, let's take a look here. 4 hour. Yeah, I mean, you already had two drives of, or you already had this bearish divergence into our first golden pocket. Got a little retracement. Held support here on that weekly MPOC that we marked out yesterday. So you came down, got the 4 hour bear div, correction into the weekly MPOC, stuck support. So I would say if you do continue up, the next local target would be sitting here at 31.55, top of the golden pocket. If you do come up there, just be careful, right? Because you could have that third drive of bearish divergence. You have 3 higher highs, 3 lower highs, and then that could also fuel a little bit more of a correction. So just be aware of that. And that is where I'll leave you off on Ethereum. Still just right on track with our longer term plan. Just trying to figure out those little ebbs and flows. Let's see. Yo, no way. No way. Shout out to Liquid Diddy in the chat. Said, Frankie, are you coming to my party? Listen, Liquid, bro. It's tonight, right? I'm actually busy tonight. But I'll catch the next one, bro. I'll catch the next one. Let me know. And I'll be there. I actually have some... I got to drink some Aztecian cactus moss water later. Shout out to Liquidity in the chat. Let's see. Just price action and liquidity. Let's go. Shout out to Cryptomania. You're going to be my special guest. Yo. I can't, bro. I can't. All right. Anyway, let's continue on here. Shout out to Ken. Said, Frankie, if you only had 5 ETH in your wallet at the moment, would you sell them now and rotate into other alts for better multiples? Shout out to Ken Saunders. This is a good question. This is a good question, bro. And I'll tell you this. It depends, man. It really is. A lot of investing and a lot of trading is really based, especially with your long-term spot bags. This is really has a lot to do with your individual, not only crypto plan, but your like financial plan for your life, right? How do you view crypto, right? Are you investing to just grow a little bit of your savings? Are you trying to get out of a hole, right? Are you trying to hit it big? I'm sure a lot of people are trying to hit it big. So for me personally, I mean, I'll be honest. I think Ethereum will go higher. And you just have to kind of like mark it out, right? Like, where is your entry point, right? Where did you get this ETH, right? If you bought it right here, you can start to look at the bull market targets. This is exactly what I would do, right? Let me hide this real quick, right? I would say to myself, well, hey, where are my higher term bull market targets for Ethereum? If we put in new all-time highs, what am I going to be looking at? Well, me personally, I would just instantly be gravitated towards this Fibonacci extension zone between 5,800 and 7,300. So let's just say, for the argument's sake, I bought Ethereum today. I bought 5 ETH. I'm going to drag that up to, let's say, the top of this Fibonacci extension, right? Now, this is obviously assuming that ETH does get to $7,300. It's not guaranteed, right? Just because you have the target up there does not guarantee that we're going to hit that level, right? But that's 140% gain, right? So, is that a gain that you're looking for, right? I do think that sometimes you're going to fall into a trap of just always trying to chase more gains. You might sell some ETH because ETH's not pumping hard, or you don't think it's going to gain as much percentage, which is very plausible, right, because of the market cap. But you have to think to yourself, right? Like, if you sell your ETH, right, and then you roll it into another altcoin, let's say you buy, just for example, Cardano, and then XRP rips, are you going to chase XRP because you think XRP is now going to pump the hardest, and then you buy XRP at the top, right, or on the way up, you buy XRP expensive, and then ADA starts ripping, and then you're like, oh, man, I should have just held ADA. So it really depends on your own personal crypto plan. For me personally, I would probably try to hold it out a little bit longer. So yeah, and another thing you could do is like sell half, keep half, right? Like sell half, diversify the other half, and then hold part of your Ethereum, right? So I can't make that decision for you. That's a personal financial decision you have to make. I'm not a financial advisor at all. So yeah, that's kind of how I would handle it, right? Just kind of like view those percentages. Does that meet your goals, right? And maybe you want to be a little more conservative, right? Like maybe you want to pull it up only to 5,800, right? And say, well, hey, if ETH doesn't hit 7,300, am I happy if it pumps to 5,800, right? But just be really careful trying to chase that shiny object. In crypto, it's a very, very dangerous game to play. It's also like part of the game you have to play because you want to do like you want to be able to hop narratives a little bit. So yeah, kind of hard to say like a simple yes or no on that. It really depends on your own personal situation. But I would always say, keep half, sell half is, it's a little happy medium there. But let's see. Shout out to I Don't Know. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He said, please look at based on base, please. I will try to take a look at Based. If I can find a chart on TradingView, I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be hard for me to find a chart on that, but I will definitely try to take a look at that for you, bro. Thank you for the super chat. We're going to move into some more altcoins now. Let's see. Shout out to Felix, said, yo, Frankie, what's good, bro? Messed up my ETH play, bought in 2023 and came down to my entry in April and sold just above break even as Bitcoin could have topped, which it didn't. I didn't buy back ETH. Shout out to Felix. I mean, listen. Kind of the same math I just did here. And again, like, could ETH top out at 5,800? Yes. Could it go to 11,000? Maybe. But in that situation, don't feel bad, bro, right? This happens to the best of us. I mean, I would be lying if I said it's never happened to me before. First off, shout out to you for not just holding your bag back down to zero. Getting out in any bit of profit, like, kudos to you, bro. Because once you're back at break even, that's kind of where people are just like, yeah, you know what? Screw it. I'm either going to make profit or I'm going to lose everything. But you have the wherewithal to pull your money out, bro. So pat yourself on the back for that. I mean, listen, man, there is a ton of opportunity in the altcoin market. And, we've been looking at a lot of charts recently that have been looking really good. And even yesterday when we were looking at the charts on non-log, just kind of going through everything and just showing, like, obviously Bitcoin is in new all-time highs, right? Like, in my opinion, I would say, like, as a general statement, not as like a... It's a little too late for Bitcoin, right? It's in price discovery. It's very expensive right now. And you don't want to buy things in new all-time highs, right? It's just like not how – that's like buying high and selling low, right? And buying high and selling higher is just not the most optimal investment strategy in my opinion. So, but you can see here, like, a lot of the altcoins here, just Pepe, for example, still super cheap, right? If Pepe makes it back to its all-time high, let's say Pepe doesn't even make a new all-time high and just gets back to its new all-time high, you got about 133%, right? A lot of altcoins are nowhere near their all-time highs. Cardano, 348% off its all-time high. Ondo, 130% off its all-time high. Virtuals, right, 200% off its all-time high. Tau, not as much, 73%. Bada boom, what is this? TARS, 500%, right? So when you look at this, right, like, this is not a 500% gain just for the bull market, right? This is a 500% gain, and obviously assuming it puts in a new all-time high. 500% just to its previous all-time high, right? At the end of the day, even if you pulled your Fibonacci retracement, if you go for a macro golden pocket retracement, which in my opinion would be, especially if we get alt season, right? I can't guarantee everything will make a new all-time high, but a lot of things are going to get really explosive. Even if you made it up to the golden pockets, a 330% gain. So you still, if you feel like you missed ETH, right? Which I would argue they didn't totally miss the boat. But, there's tons of opportunity here in other altcoins, right? These have still not moved too aggressively just yet. And a lot of them do have the 2-day money flow coming up, which, again, this money flow crossover has not happened. Just for example, on TARS, right? That 2-day money flow crossover is very likely to give you similar moves that we've seen in the past. 2-day money flow crossover, massive leg up. 2-day money flow crossover, you could reclaim this value area low, could be a big move up, even to the local value area high. So when you look at it like that, right, look at Ethereum. That 2-day money flow crossover was something we were looking at, right? Get back into the range, 2-day money flow crossover, higher low, higher high, right? That is what starts the bigger move up for Ethereum, and it's what started the bigger move up on a lot of things. It's going to be the same thing on a lot of these altcoins, in my personal opinion, as long as you're not just like buying a total scam. So yeah, you do still have a ton of opportunity here, so don't feel bad. Let's see. Shout out to Captain Kirk, said I'll have to watch it at work later, but I really appreciate it. Shout out to Captain Kirk. Welcome in, and we'll see you at work. Let's go. Shout out to Captain Kirk. Rob, will you put AVAX on tonight's list? Shout out to Cap. I know Rob probably already has it marked down, but I will also write down AVAX for you. Shout out to Captain Kirk, CandleMafia Mama. Thank you for being here. I was about to get rich off this alpha, and then you deleted it. Yo, shout out to Golden Child. Did someone chill an altcoin or something? Chill a meme coin? Let's see. All right, I'm writing down some honorable mentions here. But that is what I'm going to look at on Ethereum, guys. Let's go ahead and jump on into Solana real quick, which is still, what's that? Look behind you. Everybody look behind you. Anyway, continuing on here. Looking at Solana. Still just kind of bing-bonging around here. We are sitting at the value area high. We did get the little rejection here. We were looking at this last night. as we were putting in little bearish divergences, again, very similar to like everything else was forming these 4-hour bear divs, you get the little pushback, right? Starting to hold this daily MPOC. We do still have a key level of support down below in case this does wind up being a lower high and a lower low. I would still be looking at this golden pocket 786 retracement with the daily MPOC right in the middle. This is sitting at about 155.67 and 151.99. If we take a look at this, yeah, daily red dot printing on Solana. Money flow on the daily still technically trending to the upside. 2-day money flow in the green. VWAP coming down on the 2-day. So again, 2-day money flow still does indicate any pullback would be lackluster for a higher low and a higher high. We are holding our first pocket of support. Tried to hold the daily MPOC at first, lost it, came down to the second one. That wound up being the level we stuck. So yeah, I would say, listen, if you do continue up, obviously, value area high just underneath, just above you here. So you're going to have to fight the resistance here. But if you get above the value area high, we do have a 786 sitting at 174.55. That is kind of the, that is the last opportunity, in my opinion, to put in a lower high before putting in a lower low. And that lower low would technically be calling for a break of this low here at 125.68. This is not my base case, and we explained this last night. I always talk about the golden pocket in the 786, indicating that we may be able to get a lower high and a lower low anytime I look at a fib retracement like this. Now, why am I not looking for this to necessarily break the low? Could it? Yes, obviously, right? But based off our 2-day money flow, right? Not even the 2-day, even your 10-hour money flows in the green here, right? You have a lot of money flow being in the green here. 16-hour or 12-hour, 16-hour daily is coming up. 2-day money flow crossover in the green. That makes me think that, like, hey, this is, I'm not going to be like rushing into a major short position anticipating the break of this low. We put in the higher low at the golden pocket value area low, which is absolutely beautiful. Money flow is now in the green, so my bias here would be higher lows and higher highs, right? And if we do lose this last little level of support here on the golden pocket 786 with that daily MPOC in the middle, if we do lose this, right, I would just be looking down towards the point of control because we are still just within our volume profile. If we start losing this POC / weekly naked point of control, maybe the lower high is a little bit more likely. But as of right now with the 2-day money flow, I would anticipate the longer trend to continue up. So I would definitely watch this key level of support. We're already holding the first level here at the daily MPOC. But, just be aware of that 786 sitting at 174.34. Once you get out of there, I would say that is your doorway to eventually retest the value area low of our upper range, which would very likely lead us into a big run on Solana into $216, right? Flip the value area low. Next likely place for price to go is going to be that POC. And it's also confluent with our macro golden pocket, which is contextually where Ethereum sits, right? That's that major target that we looked at for Ethereum to hit. Obviously, we are sitting there, right? So maybe Solana wants to follow suit. And eventually, once we work our way out of here, break that 786, get above the value area low. That is 100% what I would be expecting. Simply put, that's what I'd be looking at on Solana. So there you go. Just be careful of those pullbacks at resistance, especially with the 2-day red dot incoming. So there you go. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Max Hill. Thank you for the super chat, bro. It's not a super chat, but he said... Razor sent the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Said, can you take a look at Aptos? I will try to take a look at Aptos. I'm not going to have time to look at every single altcoin request, but I will try my best to get to as many as humanly possible. But Max Hill, not a super chat. He does have a check mark though. Hey, Max Hill, we're coming. We're coming for that check mark. We're not your check mark, but we're gonna be in the check mark club soon, bro. Shout out to you, man. But he says, can you do BTC? If you scrub back to the start of the stream, we start off with Bitcoin. My full thoughts on what I'm expecting there, and then we just jump into the altcoins. You can just watch the stream from there. So shout out to Max Hill. We'll see you in the future when you get back from the Bitcoin TA. Real quick check in back on Bitcoin. All right, she's trying to push. She's trying to push here, guys. She's trying to push. See here, long now up, 1154, 200 locked in. Come on, baby. Cook for us. Cook for us. I'm not going to click this TP button because that's how I closed my original long position on Bitcoin last week. I think it was last week. But come on, baby. Cook for us. Cook for us. Let's see. Cryptomania says, okay. No alpha. Sorry about Beam. Shout out to Cryptomania. I don't know what that's in reference to. Did somebody block Cryptomania's chat? Was he asking for us to look at Beam? Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. Thank you for the alt list. Shout out to Cryptomania. Do you want to see Beam? I'll add Beam to the list. I don't know if that's what happened, but that's what it sounds like. He might have been asking for Beam, like super spamming. But shout out to Cryptomania. I'll try to take a look. Push, baby, push. Shout out to Tyler with the super chat. Yo, guys, we got some 100K YouTubers in here. Let's go. Shout out to you guys. Give us the secret, guys. I give out free sauce every day. Everybody subscribe to the channel so you don't miss this free sauce and help us get to that check mark. When we hit $100,000, when we hit 100,000 subscribers, guys, I'm going to do a big giveaway, like a significant giveaway. I don't know if it'll be an object or if it'll be crypto. I don't know. Maybe it'll just be cash. I don't know. We'll give away a bunch of stuff when we get to 100K. But when alt season, shout out to Ken. Scrub back just a few minutes and you will see the sauce on potential alt season. We got American Crypto in the chat. Shout out to you, man. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. All right, let's continue on here. And let's take a look at some of our other altcoins real quick. 12 Big said, can I get a hit of that inhaler? 12, I don't know what you're talking about. What inhaler? Only thing I have on my desk right now is an iPhone and a notepad. That's it. And I mean, obviously we have some cash too, but that's about it. That's all we got. I don't know what an inhaler is or anything like that. Tyler says, subscribe to this, bro, guys. Let's go. Shout out to Tyler. I appreciate you so much, bro. And hey, we show you how to make money trading Bitcoin, whether the price goes up or down. It's free. But not only is it free, we pay you pretty much because we teach you that skill that will keep paying you time and time again. But let's continue on here. We took a look at Solana. We took a look at Ethereum. Quick look at XRP, and then I'll jump into the alt list and take some requests from chat. Now, XRP, obviously, guys, I'm actually going to pull up a second kind of cleaner XRP chart. We are just sitting in some retracement, the full Golden Pocket 786 retracement here, guys. I mean, listen, we tapped that 786 like almost to the dollar here. You know, we got to call it when we see it. This is resistance, right? Now, does that mean you cannot break out? Absolutely not. You know, obviously you can get a breakout here. And I would honestly say, right, like this is the full retracement from the high to the low, meaning that this 786, I'll actually label this for you guys so you can keep an eye on it, right? This is 100%, I would say, key doorway to higher prices, right? Because if you break that 786, like what would I be looking for here? Well, it's like, well, hey, high, low, right? Lower high could come in at the Golden Pocket 786. And again, just like Solana, that could call for the lower low, right? Which would mean, you know, really breaking this low here. That is not what I'm expecting on XRP. Because of money flow, right? Not just because I feel bullish, right? Not just because it goes up forever, right? Not because of that, but because of our money flow, right? That 2-day VWAP is also coming down. I'm not going to cover this on every altcoin because a lot of them look the same. But, you know, 2-day red dot looking to print. Daily red dot is currently printing. 90-minute money flow is trending to the downside. So could you get a pullback here? Yes. You know, we've covered this so many times over the recent streams. We go all the way back to 2017. We grab that bars pattern. I think this is important to show every time we look at XRP because, you know, it's pretty crazy to see how this stuff plays out, guys. Every time XRP gets into one of those, like, super long, I mean, this is, like, the same pattern, right? Like, you cannot argue that this is, like, almost the same exact structure. And it just goes to show how XRP likes to move, right? It just loves to coil up either in these short-term bull pennants before absolute explosion, little consolidation, big explosion, right? And then when you get these longer ranges, the nice thing about this, or the bad thing about it, is that it's a really annoying long-term sideways consolidation. The nice thing is they typically end up resulting in massive breakouts. Now, I can't promise you that like this is where we are, where we're just going to see this straight line up. Obviously, we have to be aware that we are tapping into the resistance levels, and you know, we could get a retracement here. And like we've shown in the past, if we get a retracement, guys, it is just like on Bitcoin. It could just be that last little retracement that we need in order to get a bigger rip to the upside. So some key levels I will be looking at. I'll pull up that next chart now. You can see yesterday we looked at this Golden Pocket 786 from the low to the high. We came down, tapped that Golden Pocket. That's where we're getting the bounce right now. But if you wind up losing this low here or losing this 786 at 273, I'm just going to get these off the chart because these are super hyper local. If you do wind up getting the bigger retracement down, biggest level to watch right now, in my opinion, right, other than the local micro levels, is going to be the value area high down to this Golden Pocket / daily MPOC. This zone does sit between about 260 and 250, right? So if you do get a big retracement, right, I would be looking for, again, higher lows and higher highs. I will also be watching this anchored VWAP pulled from the bottom here. This would be nice confluence if we do come down there to look at. That'd be nice. 4 nice levels of confluence there. And again, you know, maybe you get the breakout, the bullish retest of the range before the big move up. So that's what I'd be looking at for the retracement down. You know, we obviously have the 786 sitting at about 240. I'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that's pretty much what I'll be looking at on XRP. If that 90-minute money flow crosses into the red and we do get the continuation down, those are the big levels of support to look at. Golden Pocket, 786 retracement. And then if we start losing that POC, we'll reapproach the charts and see kind of what we're looking at. But right now, this doesn't look that bad. This is pulled from the impulse to the high, this Golden Pocket, this 786, this value area high. These are the two big zones to look at if we do get a bigger retracement on XRP. If we explode to the upside and we just wind up taking off from here, next big level to look at is very clearly above us. 2 daily MPOCs and a Fibonacci extension level. This sits between 316 and 307. Simply put, if we go up, I'm looking to interact here. If we come down, we're looking at these two levels for bounces. That's what I'm looking at on XRP. There's the sauce, baby. Let's go. Shout out to Wick589. What is going on? OG of the CandleMafia says, Frankie says he holds XRP with me to 589. Hashtag twinning. Shout out to Wick589. XRP to 5. I thought it would, no, 10,000 Wick. I'm holding for 10,000. No, I'm kidding. Shout out to Wick589. Let's go. Hopefully XRP can get to 589 one day, and maybe we're going to go to 589 faster than you think. And I don't know. I would think maybe this 589, maybe this 589, I think could be in the cards for this bull market. And then hopefully one day, $589. Shout out to Wick589. Let's go, baby. Every time I think of XRP, I think of you, bro. Shout out to Wick. Also a famous poet, guys. But anyway, let's continue on. Yes, shout out to Martin says, have you done Bitcoin dominance yet? Yes, we took a look. If you scrub back to the beginning of the stream, we go over Bitcoin dominance, total 3, and then we jump into the altcoins. Let's see. Shout out to Eugene Sky. Said 589 on in too. Let's go. Shout out to Eugene Sky. 12 Big says, bro, just mute him. Mute Wick 589, 12? We can't mute Wick. Shout out to 12. And I'm not talking about the cops. Shout out to the cops, too, though. Let's see. Shout out to Ken Saunders. Said, Frankie is so clear on all his TA. It's so easy to follow along. Shout out to Ken. I appreciate that, bro. And listen, I think a reason why I'm able to explain the TA in such like a clear manner is because I came from where you guys, or a lot of you guys, I'm sure there's a lot of good traders in the chat as well, but probably a lot of the beginners in the chat, like I started right in your shoes, right? And I think that's why I'm able to break down these charts because, listen, in the world of trading, in the world of TA, it's a very gate-kept, I don't want to say industry, but it's like very gate-kept skill, right? Like what I could do, right, which I just won't do because it's not as beneficial. Like when I made this YouTube channel, right, my goal for this is to create a resource that I wish I had when I was learning how to trade, right? I took the longest, most obnoxious route to trading, right? And I wish there was I was on Investopedia. I was taking notes. Like it was if I could go back, I probably would join more like trading groups. I would join more communities to try to get around like-minded people that may have been further along in their journey than I was. But I think the reason I'm able to explain this stuff very simply is because I don't really gatekeep anything, right? Like I could not teach the volume profiles and just pretend that I have these secret levels that are very likely to get hit, right? And everyone would be like, oh my God, he's so secret. We have to watch him. We're a slave to his TA. No, I teach you exactly how to do what I do, right? And that's why I like to explain things very clearly, not only showing you targets, but both scenarios, right? Nobody knows if this thing is going to rip up or rip down. Right? That's why I give you both cases. If we rip up, this is the level we look at. If we rip down, these are the levels we look at. And not only that, right? I show you why we look at those levels and why am I interested in this level? Because if you're looking at an altcoin that maybe I don't look at, you could look at your own altcoin and be like, well, hey, if Frankie Candles was looking at this is how he would do his TA. And you can actually learn something and then apply this to your trading and actually get some value out of these live streams, right? So shout out to Ken Saunders. I appreciate you, bro. Let's see. Let's see. Frankie's the sauce master. Shout out to FX Big Papa. I like it when you call me Big Papa. Anyway, P-Dub says, rich or die, 589. I'll always be waiting for this moment in years to come. Shout out to P-Dub. Let's go. But yeah, that's what I'll be looking at on XRP. I'm not going to talk about the higher bull market targets, even though I kind of teased them a little bit there. But yeah, that's what we're looking at on XRP. Now let's move into our list. Let's go ahead and take a look at AVAX. All right, so take a look at AVAX here. All right, so I don't think we looked at AVAX yesterday, but we do have this fib pulled from the swing low to the swing high. What is the significance of pulling your fib from the swing low to the high? Well, that significance is it gives you the area that you want to hold as support if you want to put in a higher low to continue breaking structure to the upside, which would very, I don't want to, not obviously, but very logically give you the break of structure to the upside, which would also lead you directly into your next target to the upside, which sits between the value area low and this golden pocket, sitting between about 27.60 and 28.63. So as we try to escape this value area high, I will just say this is a very, very nice level to hold. And if we can come in and break out of here and not get reaccepted below this value area high, right? You know, might be able to play with this, but once you get the breakout, right, your hope is to hold above this value area high to continue looking for that break of structure to the upside, targeting your main target to the upside, which would be the value area low, golden pocket. Also, if we do work our way up there, anchored VWAP would be kind of flying to the downside as well, so you might have some confluence there. Definitely a big level of support, but very simple. That's your target to the upside, 27.26 to 28.82. And then, you know, we are at resistance here. Hopefully we can get that breakout. When you look at the higher time frames, we do have the 2-day money flow crossover. But again, with those red dots, not only looking to print on the daily, but also potentially looking to print on the 2-day over the next week or so. You know, you could get little pullbacks, right? So it might not, you know, it might just not be that first initial breakout, right? But if you do kind of play around, eventually you're going to look for the escape of this range. Once you imbalance out of this lower profile, price is going to seek fair value. Where's your next area of fair value? Well, very simply put, your next area of fair value sits within this volume profile, which is why it's so important to reclaim this value area low. Once you reclaim this value area low and hopefully the anchored VWAP, this would very likely give you a rotation of this massive downtrend potentially flipping into a major uptrend. Once you crack this 786 sitting at 31.61, POC would very likely be next, sitting at 35.89. Very likely to get some kind of resistance on these levels, but once you get above that POC, you're looking for the full fill of the range up to the value area high. And this is long-term, guys. I'm not expecting this over the next day or so, but that's just kind of the longer-term trajectory, just to give you context on where we sit here in the long term, right? We've been bing-bonging around here. I'll turn off log again just to show you kind of how far away we are from the really exciting stuff. If Avalanche is going to go back to its all-time high, you still have about 592% before revisiting the previous all-time high. So definitely, I wouldn't say this is overheated on the higher time frames or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, if we are on the cusp of this final stage of the bull market, you could even see here, initial breakout that we got in 2023, we came up here, right? And once you break out of this range, before we had this one on the chart, right? Before we actually had this here, once you get the breakout here, where is price likely to get gravitated to? Well, where's your two areas of value? You have your value down here and your value up here. What is in between? This massive drop to the downside, which is essentially a massive low volume gap. What are low volume gaps? Low volume gaps are simply areas on the chart where there is not a ton of interest. And if I zoom in here back to that previous price action, come on, volume. There we go. You can see you have a ton of volume down here, and then the next place where you have a lot of volume is up here. Right? There's nothing in between. When you have these, right, big spike in volume, somewhat of a spike in volume, massive gap. Once you break above those gaps, right, that is where you're looking for very fast moves through the gap, right? Price gives you quick moves down, oftentimes lead to quick moves up. And then when you just look at this from a volume profile perspective, you think to yourself, well, hey, fair value down here, fair value up here. If we imbalance, right, this is your fair value or balance. Once you imbalance out of this range, price is like a lost kid. I use this analogy, which is a weird analogy, but it's like a kid lost in the mall. It's like, oh my God, I lost my mom, and it starts running around. It's going to seek out the next adult, right? Here's that next adult. So that's how we're able to predict these moves, right? And then what happens? Once you get that push out of the range, it's like, well, hey, we're imbalancing out of the range. Sure, you get big corrections, but eventually you do seek out the fair value, the previous area of fair value. Price does one of three things, right? You range 80% of the time, which is balance. Then you have imbalance, right? When price is in imbalance, it only has a few things it can do. It's either going to create new balance, right, which is, I would say, the less likely of the three options. But the most likely option is that it seeks out fair value or comes back to these previous ranges. And you can see that perfect. We looked at this at the time, right? But you could just see that perfectly exemplified right here. So it's the same thing right now, right? It's like, well, if we imbalance out of here, right, we could wind up flying. Now, we do have volume in here now because we've filled that gap, right? So all this trading volume adds, levels and resistance that we're going to have to fight on the way up. But at the end of the day, right, you imbalance out of this range, we might be able to start that bigger move up towards that previous area of value. And you could argue that obviously, if I just undo all this, right, we have this new volume gap. I'm sorry, this new volume profile, right? So just like we looked on the breakout of this to come up to that previous area of value. It's the same thing here. Break out of here, you're probably going here. Once you get in here, you're probably going to fill the whole range. Once you break out of here, well, you're probably going to look at that previous value area, which is up here, right? And then eventually, hopefully, we can finally get up in here, fill that range, and send off into all-time highs. So there you go. And hopefully if that happens, my COQ will pop. Or pump, not pop. But anyway, there we go. Nice to see this break out of the volume profile. Those are the next key levels I'm looking at. And again, we did hold that 786, which is the key level you wanted to hold if you did not want to see the value area low, which is very nice. Does seem like there is a little bit of thunder outside. But anyway, there we go. ETH is ripping. Oh, there we go. Approaching the next target. You can't make this stuff up, guys. There we go. Let's see if we get here. I'm going to put an alert here. Come up to a higher time frame. Bada boom. Let's put it right on that golden pocket. Bada boom. There we go. We'll see if we push up there, right? That's that next target we just looked at. And then, hey, maybe this thing takes off, right? We break. I mean, again, definitely resistance. But if we don't hit resistance here, guys, could be on our way to that daily MPOC at 33.45. Break above that. Value area highs next. So there we go. Let's see. Shout out to ETH is going crazy. I guess, yeah. I mean, you pull it up on a 5-minute. Now it's, oh my God, it's popping. It's popping. But yeah, I mean, I would just look at this as a whole zone, right? And maybe I'm jaded, right? It's like once we hit 3,000, I'm like, all right, cool. We hit the 3,000/3150 target. But, you know, I guess I realize, you know, we haven't hit that yet. So it's still exciting to hit 3150. So there we go. We'll see if we pop up there. But there you go. Next target to the upside. Let me actually see here. 8-hour green dot printing. 30-minute money flow crossover into the green. That's nice to see. Stretch this out a little bit. There's your 30-minute money flow crossover. We were not just looking at this, but now that I look, right, 30-minute money flow crossover into the green, 8-hour fresh green dot printing. You also have your 12-hour green dot potentially looking to print here, in which case I would look at the 45-minute money flow, which is already in the green, 16-hour VWAP coming up as well, in which case we'd look at the 1-hour money flow, still in the green. So, yeah, there you go, 30-minute money flow crossover. And let's see if we can hit that target, baby. Come on, ETH. Don't pull back now. Don't pull back now. Come on. Push up there. You got it. Come on. Should we pull up the 1-second chart? Come on, baby. Send it to 3150. Send it to 3150. This is so chopped. But anyway, there we go. Let's see if we hit that. Not often that we look at targets and they get hit on stream, guys. Usually we have to wait quite some time. Let's see. Yo, shout out to 12 said, and guess what? XRP ain't moved. Lol. Shout out to 12 Big. Let's check in on Bitcoin. Bitcoin continuing to cook just a little bit. Up 1,400 on the long now. Not too shabby. 1,400 a day, or actually 1,600 a day. Keeps the doctor away. Or the day job away, I should see. Yo, shout out to Matty Q says, shorting ETH. Let's go, baby. Let's see. Shout out to Satoshi Chronicles said, can you show me how to pull the fib extensions? Yes. So what I will do here is I'm not going to show you the fib extension levels that I personally look at. They are somewhat experimental, right? But what I will tell you, I'll show you the most common Fibonacci extension that people like to look at, right? So to be quite honest, right, if you just pull up the if you pull up your Fibonacci extension here, let me do the 1618, the 2618, 3618. So you could play around with these extension levels. I have some experimental levels that I like to look at, but I would say like the most common ones are like the 1618, the 2618, right? Actually, even if we pull this, right, if I pull this over a higher time frame, where is it? Put log back on. So if you pull this, right, from your, actually I'll pull it from 2017 just to kind of show you guys how this can work. Now, it doesn't guarantee that every fib level is going to get hit, obviously. This is not how TA or the market moves. But if we pull this, actually, let me go ahead and extend this all the way. you guys can see here, right, in the last cycle, pulled from the all-time high to the bear market, you get these extension levels. You have the 1, the 2, and the 3618. And you can see here, right, we basically topped out at the 3618. There is nothing saying that you have to top out at the 3618 every single time. But this is how you would just pull the actual extension levels on your Fibonacci retracement tool, right? So this is really the Fibonacci retracement tool, but you're just pulling out those extension levels by pulling up these other levels, the 1618, the 2618, the 3618, right? And then you can also toy with some of the other default levels in here, the 3272 or the where did it just go? I just saw it. The 4236, right? There's a ton of levels that you can look at in here. It is a little bit there's some discretion on what you want to look at. I don't want to give you my levels just because they are experimental. I would lean on the more popular levels, like I said, which would be kind of the general Fibonacci retracement levels, but in extension form. So there you go, right? This is pretty much how you would pull it. I do believe in the beginner series, I might have a video talking about the extensions, but that's how you use them, right? You would just say like, hey, I have a Fibonacci extension level here. This could be an area where I get a reaction from. It's not that like you're going to pull your extension. It's not like I would just go ahead and pull this extension on our current bull market top from 2021 to the bear market low and just say, all right, that's it. We're going to the 3618, right? That's not how things work. If it were the case, we'd be up at about $208,000, which is pretty close to the highest extension. I believe this is the 3618 is the extension I look at as well. So yeah, it's not that you have to guarantee get up there, but you could say to yourself, like even here, 155K, that would be a level, right, that you would probably want to be paying attention to for some kind of a reaction. So hopefully that helps you out. Check out the beginner series. I think I may have a video in there showing you how to do it, but if not, there you go. There's a little quick 30-second tutorial on how to do it. And you could even like Google, like to be honest, I would just say the, yo, shout out to FX Big Papa says, Frankie, stop pulling your extension. Sorry guys. I'm, Bitcoin just hit 118,000. I'm a little bit pumped up here. We got to pull those extensions. But anyway, let's continue on. All right, let's continue on. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's check out. I missed some super chats here. Let me just check these real quick. Shout out to Jimmy. Shout out to Jimmy. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says, let's see. Is Blowfin a good place to trade, to trust my money for trading? I'm paper trading on Blowfin and learning, but there are some stories, thoughts, and if you have time to look at render. If not, I understand. Thanks. Shout out to Jimmy. Here's the thing with any exchange, right? I actually haven't done this in a very long time, but anytime someone asks this question, I say the same thing, right? There is no exchange, right, on Earth that I will ever just put my entire net worth on, right? For example, anytime you have money on an exchange, it's even in a bank account, right? Like you don't want to, bank accounts are insured up to 250 grand, right? But once you cross that threshold, right, like you would not want to hold all your money in that one account, right? You kind of have to like diversify your money to just protect it, right? Just like you diversify an investment. If Bitcoin goes to zero, you don't want to be all in Bitcoin. You might want to hold some stocks. You might want to hold some gold, right? Same thing with exchanges. Same thing with banks or anywhere you keep your money, right? Like, you might want to hold some cash, right? Depending on how much you have. If you have over $250,000, you might want to spread that around accounts, right? Not financial advice. This is just, what you would, it's just general information. Same thing with exchanges, right? I do not put all of my money on any exchange, not Coinbase. Look at FTX, right? FTX was a major publicly promoted by celebrity endorsed exchange, went down, right? So you always have to be on the defense there, right? So at the end of the day, any exchange can go down. Any exchange can get hacked. Any exchange can have a problem. I've never had a problem with any of the exchanges that we use. I've never had a problem with Blowfin. I've never had a problem with Femex. Even when certain exchanges do get hacked, I've personally never been affected. That's not to say other people aren't, but I've just personally never been affected on an exchange. But I am prepared and 100% ready to, if one exchange goes down, I'm not going to lose all my money, right? So you do have to be careful no matter what exchange you're using. I've never personally had problems with any of those exchanges or any exchange in general. So yeah, like even wallets, right? You have to be careful in a wallet, right? You probably don't want to hold all your money in one wallet in case it gets hacked or something. You don't want to lose all your money. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on the exchanges. And even like when an exchange gets hacked, like I believe back in the day, like BingX got hacked. It doesn't mean that like the exchange is bad or something. This is just like a vulnerability of any exchange. So yeah, you just have to be careful. But I've never had problem with any exchange. That's not to say that you won't ever have one though. So there you go. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Just make sure I didn't miss any of these super chats. J-Rock, thank you for the super chat. Said, can we take a look at Pengu? Yes, we could try to take a look at Pengu and Crazy Waffle say, yo, little homie, can you take a look at XLM? Yes, I will try. We have a lot of altcoin requests. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but we will. I'll tell you this. If I am unable to take a look at XLM, we did take a look at XLM yesterday on the live stream. So if we don't have time to get to it, if you watched yesterday's live stream, just scrub through till you see XLM. I did analysis on XLM yesterday, but I will try my best to get to all the altcoins as best as I can. Let's see. I lost my Bittrex account. I was there around 2018. Shout out to Mortimer. Yeah, you do have to be careful with exchanges. I've personally never had a problem. But again, that doesn't mean that, obviously FTX happened. Obviously exchanges go down, so just be careful. But yeah, let's continue on here. We took a look at AVAX. Let's take a look. Aptos is on the list. We took a look at XRP. So yeah, we'll take a look at Aptos, and then we'll jump into XR Pizzle. Let's see. All right, so Aptos. That was not like a worried, I just did that. It's like, this is going to zero, guys. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, like just to break down the context here, guys. Again, just to like break down not only like, I think it's going up or down, right? Showing you exactly what I'm looking at here. Deviation below the volume profile. This is undervalued relative to your previous price action. When you deviate below these value area lows, you typically are looking for long positions. You don't just automatically long once you're below it, because obviously you can break down. Context is important. Understanding how the market moves is important, obviously. But deviation below the low, cheap asset, break back into the range, flip that value area low to support. And I don't remember the last time we looked at Aptos. It must have been in the last, probably June 27th, at least sometime after that, because we have this fib pulled, where we were looking at the golden pocket retracement, confluent with the value area low with the 786 just underneath. And I can guarantee you, well, not even guarantee you, what I would say here, right, or what I was saying here last time we looked at this was, well, hey, if we get down here, this is the zone to hold. This is your support. Why? Because if you're going to have a low, a low, a high, a higher low, and a potential higher high breaking structure to the upside, this would be the zone to hold. We've now come down, tapped that level, gotten the bounce, and we are approaching this local volume profile. We have the value area low and the POC somewhat close to each other here. What does this mean? This means that between $5.41 and $5.05, there is some kind of resistance, right? Once we get above this value area low, we could look for a move into the POC. And the reason I have this as a whole range here, or a whole zone, is because it's not that much of a move from the value area low to the POC. Usually, the value area low is the doorway to higher prices, but in this case, the POC is so close, so it's still a doorway to higher prices. They're just slightly higher. So it's the doorway from 505 to 540. Once you get above that point of control, I would look for the full fill of that range into about $6.16. Not looking too bad. This also lines up with the idea that you are within your larger profile. And just like when you hold this low, you go to the POC and the high. Once you hold this low, you could look to eventually continue your journey up to the macro POC, which sits at about 912. Flip that POC. You would simply be looking to go up to the value area high at 1075. That is simply what I would look for. So locally, definitely coming up to some resistance here. So just be careful about that. But I would say, hey, if you do get a rejection here, right, maybe it's a little bit of turbulence. The value area low is always going to be kind of resistance until proven otherwise. But this POC would be a key level to flip at 540. Flip that. I'm looking up towards $6.18. From a money flow / market cipher B perspective, daily money flow is starting to trend to the upside. VWAP is coming down, though. So, again, you could get a little bit of turbulence here. 2-day. VWAP starting to roll over. But, again, money flow on the 2-day crossing into the green. A lot of the stuff that we see moving, such as Ethereum, right? Such as many other altcoins that have gotten moves up, 2-day money flow crossovers, have given the big move up, right? Not an instant move, but it gives you that larger trend to the upside. 2-day money flow crossover right here, continuation up. So when we look at something like Aptos, 2-day money flow has not crossed over into the green just yet. And when we look at this, like we were looking at everything else, even in a non-log format, right? It's like, well, hey, low, high, deviation, back in, back to the low, back to the high, deviation, back in, back to the low, back to the high, deviation, back in, back to the low, back to the high, right? Not going to be a move that's going to happen overnight, but that would be the long-term trajectory here, right? And the overall context. Locally, I would look within this range. A little resistance at the value area low, but once we get in here, look for that local range fill. And yeah, that 2-day money flow is definitely trending in the right direction. Not too shabby. So, yeah, that's what I would look at here on Aptos. I'm trying to think of anything else that I want to look at here. Just taking a look at the previous 2-day money flow crossovers, right? Last 2-day money flow crossover happened about halfway through the profile and sent us into the deviation above. And kind of a very similar, very similar situation here. 2-day money flow crosses over into the green. You get a little move up. Sure, you get the pullback, which is totally fine. Money flow indicates the trend, not the ebbs or flows. It indicates the overall trend. 2-day money flow crosses over, higher low, higher high. Now you're getting a 2-day money flow crossover right at the bottom of the range. So I would say long term, even if you play around here a little bit, I would still be looking at that as pretty generally undervalued based off the previous price action. So there you go. That's what I would look at on Aptos. Local range, macro range. You could screenshot these levels to get them on your chart. Nice bounce off that golden pocket retracement as well. Let's see. Shout out to I think it says Michael says, hi Frankie, there thanks for your TA. Always helpful, calms my nerves. Can you take a look at Swell? I will try to take a look at Swell. We do have a bunch of alts to look at here. I do want to take a look at TARS real quick. Let's see. Let's take a look at TARS here. So I believe this is the chart. I think, did we look at this yesterday? I think we may have. I don't know what this is. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take this off. You have value area low, POC high. Let's take a look. Okay, so pulled from this lower high to the low. We did get the rejection off the golden pocket. That's what gave us the bigger pullback here. This is the April low. So I would say, I mean, we're tapping on the door here, right? You're tapping into that value area. We already got in, rotated, back out. Rotation, back out. This key level of resistance sitting here at the value area low at 9 cents to 11 cents. This is the big level to hold. Flip that value area low. POC is open. And again, this is close to the value area low. So I would probably view this as a little bit of a zone. POC to the value area low. So this would be the key level to get above. POC at about 11 cents. Once you break above the POC at 11 cents, you can look for the continuation up towards the value area high at 16 cents. And, this is somewhat of a local profile. This is pulled from a lower high. This is not the full retracement level, which is obviously already on the chart up here. So, yeah, I'm actually going to take that off the chart as of right now because we did actually already reject that golden pocket. We already swept through it, so I'll actually take that golden pocket off the chart. I will keep the 786 here, though, because that value area high 786 is still resistance, right? So I would say this is your doorway to potentially make it back up to your previous value area up here, starting at about 26 cents. Until then, you are fighting. This is kind of wonky price action, pretty much a straight drop to the downside, straight rip to the upside, and we are just kind of coiling up here. So I would say right now, key level, I mean, this anchored VWAP at about 9 cents, and then this whole zone, right? I wouldn't even anchored VWAP value area low POC. It's not until we get above here where I would look for the bigger move up towards that value area low 786, and then this would be the doorway once you get above that to shoot up towards that 26 cent value area low, in which case we can approach that range in its by itself, right, as we get up to those prices. But right now you're just kind of wiggling around below this resistance, so you got to get up here and flip that POC at 11 cents to support. And that's pretty much what I'd look at. 2-day money flow still headed in the right direction. Daily money flow trying to trend, kind of flat there, to be honest. But that 2-day money flow, again, patience is key here. Again, just like when we were looking at Ethereum's money flow about to cross over into the green, it seems very crazy. It's like, hey guys, 2-day money flow is coming up. This could indicate a much bigger trend through the volume profile, but it's not until it happens where it's like, oh, duh, right? So you have to have kind of that confidence here as that money flow is starting to come up so you can front run before the big move. And I would say on TARS here, that 2-day money flow is on the way to the upside, right? So that's pretty much what I would look at. Major resistance there. And then as far as support, if you do continue down here, let me see. Let's pull a fib from the low to the high. Yeah, we are bouncing off that golden pocket, so I will just add this 786 as a key level at about 0.0536 cents. So if you lose that golden pocket, I would be looking down towards that 786. This is a key level. You really do not want to lose this, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, we're holding that golden pocket. Hopefully you can hold that, flip the POC, send it through this profile. If you lose this, I'm looking down towards about 0.05367. Lose that. It's not the best look because this is that full 786 retracement. So definitely the biggest key level to hold right now would be that 786. So there we go. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything here in the chat. Let's see. Frankie, can you take a look at my wife's mood swings, please? Need to know when it's safe to pull the fib on her. Shout out to Coin Hoover. Analysis on the wife's mood swings. Listen, bro, this is very common in the space of girlfriends, wives, mood swings. This is just like market turbulence. But, you know, once it really starts to get bad and you feel like that bottom has been put in, whip out the fib. Pull the fib. Look for the retracement, 100x long. And it should get better from there. Shout out to Coin Hoover. Let's go. Bada boom. Let's see. BTC's money flow on the lower time frames are going down. Shout out to Off Grid. On what coin? Let me know. Are you talking about Bitcoin? Let's see. Shout out to Humble Body Man said, hello, Frankie, stop blocking people in chat. You lost yourself another subscriber. Shout out to Humble Body. I have not blocked anybody in the chat today. Let's see. Yo, shout Humble Body said, we told you we were a group of friends and we were watching the show. Can you keep blocking and you keep blocking our free speech? I don't even know what that's in reference to, but shout out to Humble Guy or Humble Body Man. I would agree with you. I don't know who got blocked. Who got blocked? Humble Body, can you and your mates stop spamming chat then? Oh, yeah, shout out to Darren. Yeah. If you're spamming chat, you'll get timed out. You're not getting blocked. You're just getting timed out because you're spamming. It's crazy. But anyway, let's continue on. Y'all are the same person. Like started spamming under one name, came in another name, kept spamming. That's crazy. But anyway, let's see. Rob said free speech. That's funny. Let's see. Frankie, can you take a look at Whiff? I will try. 12 Pigs said I'm seriously laughing so loud. Yo, shout out to Kyle. Says 9 funded accounts in 2 months, Frankie. Cypher 1/16 and value areas, baby. Let's go. Shout out to Kyle. I would actually throw some money on. I would throw some money for you, bro. But I do have this stack of money counted out perfectly for a very specific reason. So I'm not going to throw it. So just imagine money falling from the sky. But let's continue on here. We took a look at AVAX. We took a look at XRP. We took a look at Aptos. We took a look at TARS. Let's try to take a look at XLM. Let's take a quick look at XLM. Bada boom. I think we have an XLM chart that we were looking at. This is the Bybit chart. All right, so there we go. So yesterday, as we were looking at XLM, let me just see here from the low to the high, right? So so we had this high yesterday. So we're still looking. All right, we are still looking to potentially hold on top of this value area high. We have come into the golden pocket retracement, which is the full fib. Okay, so you are hitting some resistance here. So you've come up to tap the value area low of the previous range, rejecting the golden pocket. So I would say this, your value area high is probably your biggest key level of support right now. Once you break below that, I would be looking down towards the golden pocket / anchored VWAP, still sitting here in the same level we looked at yesterday, 36 to 33 cents. If we end up getting back inside this value area high, I will be looking down towards this level as our key support. Once you start losing the POC, you do have the 786, a daily and a weekly MPOC sitting between 31 and 28 cents as well. I'll be honest, you do have some confluence here. It's kind of a random place to bounce, in my opinion, because if you do get the bounce down here, that's assuming you even get the move down. You might not. But if you did get below that PO, we'll cross this bridge when we get there, to be honest. You still have a lot of room to come down to this level anyway. So, yeah, I would watch 36 to 33 cents if you get accepted back into the value area. That would be the next major level to look at. If you don't have to do that, if you can, escape this value area, you're right in between two value areas. I'll even hide this golden pocket to make it a little bit cleaner. Bada boom, bada bing, right? So you have your one value area down here. You have your next value area up here, right? So once we wind up getting the breakout here, eventually flipping that value area low to support would indicate that you could get accepted into this upper profile. You have a lot of resistance above it or inside that range. But again, the biggest key level to flip to support here would be about 50 cents. Get above 50 cents. You can work your way into the 786, flip the 786. I'd be looking up personally to the point of control of the range at 63 cents. And that's just what I would look for. But right now, just hope that you can hold on top of this value area high. Hold on top of that value area high. You're going to be looking at the value area low at 50 cents. And, once we get in there, we'll reapproach that situation. Break down below. I'm looking down here towards the point of control, golden pocket anchored VWAP. Again, sitting between 36 and 33 cents. That's what I'd be looking at. All right, let's continue on here. Bada boom, bada bing. Bada boom, bada bing. Oh, is it Beam? They're spamming Beam? We could take a look at Beam. Let's take a look here. Actually, you know what? Let me check the super chats real quick. Did we have I think we had a super chat for Beam. Let's see. Pangu. Let's take a look at Pangu actually because I actually wanted to take a look at this, right? So we actually looked at this the other day on Pangu. Where is this? This is July 4th. So yeah, break out of the range, right? We got the breakout, the retest, the big move to the upside, pushing us back into the point of control of the range. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. The get rid of this, get rid of that. And again, we did hold this nice golden pocket retracement, right? This is what we were talking about down here. Get the move up. Once you get that retracement back down, where are you going to be? Where are the most important levels to look at, right? You're going to pull your fib from the low to the high. Golden pocket 786 is where you would hope that you're going to put in a higher low, if not at the golden pocket at the 786, but we did wind up putting in the low here on the golden pocket. At that point, once you get the bounce, you're looking for a break of structure to the upside where you would target the value area low of that previous range. Once you get into that range, you're going to be looking to go up to the POC. Obviously, we haven't looked at this since we've got the move up here, but obviously, get rid of this. We have this little volume profile back here. That's what that was marked out from. But at the end of the day, right, what happens? You get that approach, you push, well, come up into a lower time frame, right? So you can actually see the interaction with the volume profile come back even lower. You get that push, right? We basically just melted right through this, but you do wind up getting above that value area, flipping it to support, in which case you would be looking up towards that weekly MPOC as your next target. Get back above that weekly MPOC. Play around with it a little bit, and eventually you do get that move up to the POC of the range. I'll mark that out so we can see that, right? So once you get above that value area low, you eventually look to start your journey to the point of control. Sitting at 33 cents, and we just hit 33 cents. Get above the POC, flip it to support. Simply put, going to be looking up towards that value area high at 0.038563, or 0.038 for simple terms. So very nice move. We are now within that volume profile. I'm going to hide this weekly MPOC because it is now tapped. And at this point, right, I mean, you're just within your profile. So, could you get some turbulence in here? Potentially. But at the end of the day, flip that POC. I'm looking up towards that value area high. Taking a look at market cipher B. 2-day money flow is crossed over into the green. Again, an early signal of that continuation of the uptrend. Beautiful. Pushing you into that next major level. And again, even if you're looking at this from a volume profile perspective, you have this little mini range, right? Or actually, the range we were looking at was right here, right? Or, I'm sorry, right here. Looking for that breakout. Once you break out of this range, you're going to look to get gravitated to your previous area of value. How do we call these targets? It's simply just based off volume profiles. The fair value is up here. When you have fair value here and you imbalance to the upside, you're going to very likely seek out fair value. So I would still eventually look for the fulfill of this range. It's not until we start breaking down now at this point out of the value area low at 0.026 until we start losing that, right? I would still be looking for the fulfill of this range. Simply put, 2-day money flow crossover into the green. That's nice. You do have your daily red dot looking to print. So again, turbulence at the POC could be likely. And then again, even if you get the bigger pullback on the 2-day red dot, you could look for the a little bit of a drop. But again, until you lose that value area low, I would still just be looking within the confines of this volume profile. Value area low at 0.025, POC at 0.033, and then your value area high at 0.038. So there you go. Let's see. All right, let's continue on here. Oh my God, guys, the time absolutely flies here. I've been trying to do some shorter streams here. But the altcoins, we just get lost in the altcoins. All right, let's see. Okay, so let's try to take a look at that base. Let's take a look at base here. All right, so we can get a MEXC chart. There's not a ton of information here on the higher time frames. No info on the daily. No money flow on the 16-hour. So probably going to have to start this on the 4-hour. Yeah, not a lot to look at here. What I can do for based is I can pull the volume profile. So this is, I'm just going to pull up anything I can here, right? We don't have a lot of price action to analyze, so it does give a little bit of a nerf here to the edge that we have looking at the TA. But we do have a value area here. Clear low, high, low, high, low, high deviation. And we are looking to potentially get accepted back in here. So what I would look at is, let's pull this fib from the low. And also like super scammy wicks here. So it does make it a little bit difficult as well. But I will mark out this 786 is somewhat of a key level to hold. Right? Once you lose that 786, I think it's a much higher probability that you come down to that POC, lose the POC, go down to the low. But if you could hold that 786 and crack back out of here, right, you could be looking. Yeah, you could be looking for a continuation to the upside, in which case I don't really have a lot of targets to the upside because there's no price action above us, but I can pull an extension here really quickly. And I will just mark this out as a general zone. This is pretty big, but this will be the first Fibonacci extension zone that I would look at if you come revisit the highs. The high right here is in confluence with the middle fib at 69.20. And then if you break above that, I'd be looking at about 75.48. And the doorway, in my opinion, right? So if you could hold this 786, break back out of the range, and crack this 786, this is the zone I would look at. But to be totally honest with you, this is a very hard chart to analyze just because we do not have a lot of price action on this. But that would be what I would be looking at, right? If you can't get above this value area high and you lose this 786, I would consider that acceptance into the range. POC would be likely. Lose the POC, value area low is next. Hold the 786, work your way out of the range. Crack that 786. That's what I would look for. This is your doorway to these upper fib levels, the 786 at 4,992. So there you go. Short and sweet here. I can't show any of the higher time frame money flow or anything like that because we just simply don't have the information on the chart. From a binary perspective here, looking at the money flow on the 3-hour crossing into the red, it looks like you might struggle getting out of here, right? So lose that 786. POC down at, call it 0.002249 would be next. So there you go. That's what I would look at on base. I wish there was more price action to look at. But yeah. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Dutch. He said, listen, guys, I'm with a group of 8 in the same head. We always arguing with each other. If you fight me, you fight 8 of us. Even my imaginary girlfriend will go after you. Shout out to Dutchy. Let's go. Sometimes people say Mrs. Candles is imaginary, but it's like, I can smell the plastic. It's like, I think she's real. But anyway, let's continue on here. Shout out to Nitro, said, Frankie, why are altcoins becoming so strong? I'm trying to short the altcoins when BTC goes down. Alts don't come down. This is too much, man. Shout out to Nitro. Really, the reason that we're starting to see the strength in the altcoins is just simply, number one, from a chart perspective, all these 2-day money flow crossovers. We've obviously had, listen, a lot of these altcoins have already, on the higher time frames, had massive drops to the downside. Just looking since December 2024, a lot of these altcoins, just Ondo, for random example, down 70%, right? Like, these things are going to at least get some kind of retracement. And with Bitcoin dominance coming down, with Bitcoin dominance coming down, right, you're going to see the altcoins start to perform a bit better. So that's probably why you're having such a hard time. On top of that, you've had all the 2-day money flow crossovers. So when you look at the altcoin charts, right, it is, I'll be honest, like most of the time when Bitcoin's going down, the altcoins will follow. And for the most part, that is true. But when you are in a situation like we are right now, where you see dominance starting to drop, it becomes a little less directly correlated. So that's probably why you're having a little bit of a difficult time. A lot of these altcoins look bullish, obviously, as we've looked at those 2-day money flow crossovers, the deviation below the value area lows, all that stuff, calling for the bigger moves through the profiles. They do look strong, not only on the charts, but also compared to the Bitcoin, looking at Bitcoin dominance, total 3, all that stuff. So that's probably why you're having a difficult time shorting the altcoins right now. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. Shout out to Cryptomania, said, my wife is made. She wants to know about Beam. All right, we'll take a look at Beam. I don't know. Is Beam like going crazy right now? Let's take a look. I don't think we've taken a look at Beam in quite some time. Let's take a look here. All right, so this is an old fib. Yeah, this is a local fib. We can get rid of that. No longer relevant. So yeah, I mean, and I forgot who just asked about this, but shout out to Paraso, said explain red dots. Shout out to Prezzo. Red and green dots are just an indication on market cipher B. They typically indicate ebbs and flows, right? Like you would say, this is a green dot, this is a red dot, this is a green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. Red dot, right? And then the money flow indicates the overall trend. You can see here money flow crosses over into the green, and sure, you get moves to the downside, but the overall trend does continue to the upside. And the red and green dots are just like little pops up and down, right? And if you go to the beginner series on the channel, I have videos explaining. If you're new here, I have beginner series on the channel, 100% free. There's a bunch of videos in there explaining pretty much everything we look at on this live stream, so it'll get you up to speed to not understanding how a chart works at all, to setting up your own trading view, setting up your charts, how to do TA on a chart that has nothing on it, all the way to understanding volume profiles, how to trade using Fibonacci, volume profiles, all the stuff that I look at. So go check that out. But that's like a little 2-second explanation of what the red and green dots mean. But at the end of the day, when we look at Beam here, one of the reasons why you might be having a hard time shorting the altcoins, bro, just like from a context perspective, right? It's like when you get back into these volume profiles, right? What is the anticipation? POC, and then start your journey up into your value area high. Right? So like you can catch these shorts, right? Little scalp short. But if you don't understand the context of the market, it may be very, very hard to identify like how, it might be why the shorts are not playing out in a very big way, right? Because they're just trying to continue up through these profiles. In which case on Beam, we do have the value area high sitting at 79.40. That would be the next major target for me personally. Because again, the way the laws of the volume profile state, flip the value area low, POC is next. Check it off the list. Get above the POC. Eventually, the value area high is next. Can we check that off the list soon? Well, we'll see. We'll leave that up there, and we'll delete it if we have to. But that will be the next anticipated place for price to go, in my own personal opinion. I'm actually just going to delete that. But as far as money flow goes, right, looking very similar to everything else. I kind of front-ran that. I just assumed it would be the case, and it is. 2-day money flow crosses over into the green. This is a big sign that the trend is going to flip bullish in the longer term, and here you are seeing that continuation up. So target here, 79.71, and that's what I would look at. Very simply put. Turbulence to be expected here. Let me see if you're coming up. Let me see if we have any confluence here. I'll pull from this previous swing high to the low. Actually, let me just make that a little more accurate. Bada boom. Okay, so yeah, I would definitely look at this. And I believe this horizontal line was probably already here because that is the line in the sand to get your much bigger move up through your profile. Take this back to golden pocket. So yeah, I mean, just in general, if I were looking at the golden pocket retracement, it's like, well, hey, if we're going to continue for a golden pocket 786 retracement, you're going to be looking up in this zone anyway. Break above this 786, sitting at 87.14. That would, in my opinion, be your doorway up to the bigger doorway to higher prices, which is sitting up at your larger volume profile, starting at 1 cent or 0.014. Flip that to support. You can look to follow through the rest of this profile, right? Here's your area of balance. Here's your other area of balance. Once you impulse out of here, price will naturally gravitate towards the previous area of balance. And then your goal there is to flip inside the value, go to the POC, flip to the value area high. That's what I would look at on Beam. So there we go. Obviously, be careful of pullbacks as you push into that resistance. But long term, that's what I would look for. Currently, you do have an 8-hour green dot printing. You do have your 30-minute money flow crossing over into the green. So again, similar to Ethereum, right? That is probably what is fueling that move to the upside. So yeah, there you go. Watch this next target. 7785 up to about 8732. That's what I'd be looking at. All right, there we go. Let's see. Yes, we did look at Pangu. Shout out to Satoshi Glakamoto. We did take a look at Pangu just a few minutes ago. Yo, what is going on in chat right now? My mom wants to know about ACH, Alchemy Pay. Let's see. Wick has me doing manual labor in 100-degree weather. Shout out to Wick's Wi-Fi 89. What are you guys doing? Are you planting trees? Hopefully they're money trees, XRP 589 trees. Let's go. Shout out to Wick's Wi-Fi 89. Full respect there. I always feel weird saying shout out to Wick's wife, but shout out to Wick's Wi-Fi 89. It's actually her YouTube name. Let's see. All right. Yo, shout out to Off Grid. Said I got into this current breakout due to Market Cipher B cheat codes. Let's go. Shout out to Off Grid. Telling you, Market Cipher B, one of the best indicators you could possibly use. And I've said that before I knew Crypto Face. I said that before I had a YouTube channel. I've been using Market Cipher for years. Literally is one of the best indicators you could possibly use. No indicator on earth is ever going to tell you exactly when to buy and sell. But if you know how to read Market Cipher like we do, you can get it pretty dang close. Yo, shout out to Mark. Said if we hit 150K, I'm dumping my girlfriend. If we hit 150K, I can't say I'll dump Mrs. Candles. I can never dump Mrs. Candles. But let's see. Ondo, shout out to Crypto Owl. Let's take a look at Ondo. Says my future self wants to know about Ondo. We actually did pull up Ondo to explain something, but I actually didn't do the TA. So let's take a look here. And not going to lie, guys, when we talk about those 786s being the line in the sand for another move to the upside, this is what we mean, right? So as Mondo started pushing up into the point of control, obviously we deviated below that value area low, got back into the range. We look to push up into that POC, where we have the golden pocket 786. But once you break out of that 786, right, this 786 is the first area you would be looking at for a rejection back to the downside. But once you flip that 786, that is your doorway to get the bigger move up, in which case it does look like we are on our way to do that. So whether you're looking at the Fibonacci retracement or not, you can just see the perfect back test of that 786, right? You break out, retest, continuation. But at the end of the day here, I would say being above that point of control, right? When you get back inside the volume profile, all eyes on the POC, boom, absolutely smashed. Once you get above that POC, I would say this now becomes key support at 82 cents, 0.8298. And as long as we can hold above this, I'd be looking at that next bigger target up at about $1.22. And again, longer term target, right? I'm not saying it has to happen today or tomorrow or the next day. But again, you know, this took how long, right? This took about 16 days to get to the POC, right? So it takes time, but when we look at it down here, we say, hey, look for the eventual move into the POC. Could be choppy, could be confusing, but eventually you're going to look for that POC to get tapped. Here we are, right? So yeah, that's what I would look at on Ondo. Just look to hold above this POC. As long as you remain above this, I would look to push up eventually into the value area high of the range, $1.22. Taking a look at Market Cipher B, everything looks exactly the same. 2-day money flow crossover has still early here, guys. Still early here on the 2-day money flow crossover. So again, any pullback would have to be looked at as a higher low and a higher high for me personally. So yeah, and then like your real key level of support that you really don't want to lose in order to, you know, not be super bearish would, I mean, number one, POC, lose the POC. I mean, until you break down out of this value area low, I would not be looking at many lower prices for Ondo. And then looking at this on a non-log chart, obviously still plenty of room here to the all-time high. So there you go. That's what I would look at. Major range, you could screenshot these to get them on your chart. And yeah, I don't think there's much else to look at there, right? Obviously, be careful of like short-term turbulence, but even here, a lot of the altcoins are printing those fresh green dots on the 8-hour with the 30-minute money flow crossing over into the green, right? So if this money flow stays cooking into the green here on Ondo, we could look for continuations of that local trend. But even if you do get the breakdown, right, you just have key support down here at 83 cents, call it, right, at the point of control. So there we go. There we go. Push it, baby. 3,200 next. Let's go. Let's check out Ethereum here. 3,140. Oh, come on. She's pushing into the target. Will she hit? Will she hit? Of course, she's waiting for the live stream to end here, guys. So on that note, taking a look at Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin kind of just still bing-bonging around here. Long, still healthy in profits. Up about $1,400 between the realized and unrealized. So we'll see what happens here, guys. We'll see if we can keep cooking to the upside just a little bit, but just be aware, if you just tuned in, scrub back to the Bitcoin TA in the beginning of the stream. We have the key levels of resistance above. Keep an eye on that 90-minute money flow crossover into the red. It's starting to come back up here, which, hopefully we can escape it, but just keep an eye there, because if this money flow crosses into the red, lower highs and lower lows could be in store, and we cover all those key levels in the beginning of the stream. So scrub back if you just tuned in, and hopefully we can continue with the Bitcoin dominance dumping. We can continue to see the altcoins rise just a little bit, at least in the long term. But with all that being said, that's all the time I got for tonight's live stream. Thank you so much for everybody who tuned in and stuck around till the end of the stream. I appreciate all of you guys from the bottom of my heart. Let's see, 4K ETH in a straight line. Let's go. Shout out to Wonton Wisdom. Hey, I hope so, bro. I hold a lot of Ethereum, and I'm not in a short, so hopefully it can just cook to the upside. But with all that being said, guys, that's all the time I got for tonight's live stream. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging around here on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. There's so much stuff you could do with your time, but you chose to put in the work here, pay attention to the TA, and hopefully make some money in the meantime. But with all that being said, guys, I'll see you here, same place, same time, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. If anything crazy happens, I'll drop a market update tomorrow during the day. If not, I'll see you on the live stream. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Coach, what's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Space showing for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
I faked you out. You didn't think I was going to do a fake out, but here I am. Here I am. Shout out to everybody who stuck around till the end of the stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. You know the rest. Hasta pasta. I got to go take some profit on this long. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag.
Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the